pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Morty, did he answer? No. Okay. You may begin.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the Monday, August 18th, 2025 Jackson Township Planning Board meeting. This meeting has been properly noticed in all the places and forums necessary to comply with the OPMA. And Ms. Chairwoman, I'll leave it off to you.
Thank you. We'll have a roll call, please.
Mr. Bernstein?
Here.
Mr. Marzo? Mr. Heller?
Here.
Mr. Rogers?
Here.
Mr. Treamer?
Here.
Ms. Rose? Mr. Weingart? Mr. Sullivan? Dr. Campbell?
Here. I'd like a motion for the payment of the voucher for the recording secretary for the August 18th minutes, please.
Motion, Bernstein.
Second, Heller?
Roll call, please.
Mr. Bernstein?
Yes.
Mr. Heller?
Yes.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Mr. Treamer?
Yes.
Mr. Weingart? Dr. Campbell?
Yes. We have no resolutions this evening. The agenda schedule, we're going to keep the September 8th meeting, even though we have no applications, so that we can conduct some board business, just to let our members know. Even though there's nothing on the schedule, it shouldn't be long.
Okay.
All right. So no changes to the agenda schedule. Oh, we have anything?
The minutes from July
The minutes from July
28th.
28th, special meeting. Roll call, please.
We need a motion.
Motion, Bernstein.
Second, Heller?
Mr. Bernstein?
Yes.
Mr. Heller?
Yes.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Mr. Treamer?
Yes.
Mr. Weingart? Dr. Campbell?
Yes. Welcome. I was worried. Okay. Engineering and planning matters. Gentlemen.
Nothing here until board matters for discussion.
Okay, thank you. Legal matters.
None at this time.
Board matters for discussion. That's you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The governing body referred 3 ordinances on first reading at their last council meeting. Ordinances 2025-29, 30, and 31. Each of these is a direct result of the town's recently adopted master plan and housing plan element and fair share plan. To the extent the board members would like to go into any detail with them, I'd be happy to, although my office was not the author of the document. We're familiar with them. I'd remind the board that under the land use law, a zoning ordinance can only be adopted after the planning board has adopted the land use and housing plan elements of a master plan, which these ordinances will follow. That the planning board shall make and transmit to the governing body within 35 days after referral a report including identification of any provisions in the proposed development regulation, revision, or amendment which are inconsistent with the master plan, and recommendations concerning those inconsistencies and any other matters the board deems appropriate. Now, if you've read the ordinances, 2025, 29, and 30 come right out of the fair share element of the master plan, and Chapter 31 has to do with the third round affordable housing, which is referenced both in the master plan and the fair share plan. So to my mind, the 3 ordinances individually and cumulatively are consistent with the current master plan, housing element, and fair share plan.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Mr. Heller and I are greatly familiar with all these things to do with the master plan, and I'm sorry Ms. DiMarzo isn't here to hear that we are moving forward really quickly, and I'm very pleased that we're under this gun to a degree, because it's important that we get these things settled. The state has requirements, and we have to meet those requirement dates. They're very important. So this meeting is necessary for us to vote on this so that now it can move to the state, and these need to be approved. Before we go into discussing more about these ordinances, I'd like to ask Mr. Bernstein to maybe speak a little about some of the things that the council has attended to in these ordinances.
Thank you, Chairwoman. So really, a thank you to our Planning Board Master Plan Subcommittee, Dr. Campbell and Mr. Marzo and Mr. Heller, because our job as council is very easy, because basically all the ideas were in our notes and by our previous meetings. So one of the concepts that was put into these ordinances was a requirement, and I think Mr. Tremor will appreciate this, requiring multiple entrances into every residential development. I think a subdivision of 50 units requires 2 entrances. I think every extra 100, I think requires an extra entrance of in and out, which is something which hasn't existed in the past. So I think that really came from you, so thank you. Additionally, we put in a restriction that you cannot park within the development 100 feet from any corner, requiring signage paid for by the developer and not by the township. Additionally, there were parking requirements, where each unit had a requirement, I think, of 4 parking spots plus a guest spot of a quarter of a spot sprinkled throughout the development. Additionally, for the clubhouse, there was a requirement that even undeveloped space within the clubhouse, for example, an unfinished basement, would require parking to avoid a situation where the developer only builds 1 floor, leaves a 2nd floor unfinished, and eventually the residents come in to finish it, and there wouldn't be adequate parking, making sure that that parking requirement would be in there. Additionally, there was a 10% open space requirement in the ordinance, making sure that our developments leave for passive and active recreation. I don't remember exactly right now off the top of my head the difference. I think it was 40 to 60%. Additionally, we put in a phasing plan that you couldn't get your CO after the first, I think, 25 units or 25% of the units were built without going ahead and building some of the recreation concepts. So again, thank you, Dr. Campbell. Thank you, Mr. Marzo and Mr. Heller, for being proactive, because it really was a very easy copy-paste situation for the council. Thank you.
Anything from our attorney about the ordinances?
Other than the fact that this is a mirror image of the recommendations that we put in the master plan, that is it.
Good. Now, do we have to vote on these individually or as a group?
You can just do it as a group.
We can do it as all 3, unless a board member has
The vote
something to
is
say.
simply just, is it consistent or inconsistent with the master plan? So you could just do it as a bulk.
Anyone on the board have any comments? I know I sent everyone an email making sure everybody read them so that they're familiar. Any questions about them? You can't ask any questions, Mr. Heller, because you know what they Anybody else can ask questions? Mr. Tremor, Mr. Rogers?
My only comment is thank you for getting us a little bit earlier than we've gotten things in the past. Right,
Mr.
right?
Shea?
Yeah.
The board's going to offer a motion to make a finding that the ordinances submitted are not inconsistent with the
Correct.
master plan, housing plan element, and fair share plan?
Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah, not inconsistent. Okay, it's semantics, but it counts.
Statutory. Yeah.
Right, all right. We'll accept a motion, please.
I'd like to make a motion, Sullivan, that these ordinances are not inconsistent with the master plan or the fair share housing agreement.
Very good. Look for a second.
I'll second that. Heller?
We'll have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Bernstein?
Yes.
Mr. Heller?
Yes.
Mr. Rogers?
Yes.
Mr. Treamer?
Yes.
Mr. Weingart? Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Dr. Camp?
Yes. Thank you, everyone. Good. Our applicant may come forward. Mr. Alfieri, welcome.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. Salvatore Alfieri, Cleary, Giacobbe, Alfieri, Jacobs on behalf of the applicant. This is, good evening, Mr. Shea. This is a application variance-free in terms of the site plan itself for a house of worship at 9 Lehigh Boulevard. We have 3 witnesses that we intend on calling. We also have a representative from the shul in case there are operational questions that go beyond the scope of our engineer's testimony. And we're going to start with our engineer, Mr. Halpert.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, please state your name and spell your last for the record.
Eric Halpert, Halpert, licensed professional engineer and planner in the state of New Jersey. I've appeared before this board before.
Just a few times. The board accept the credentials?
We do, welcome.
Thank you. And Mr. Halpert, we submitted certain exhibits in advance of tonight's hearing. I'm assuming we're going to refer to the first, which is marked. Did you pre-mark it, or we're marking it now?
I did not pre-mark it. We'll pre-mark this set as A1.
Right, A1? Yeah.
Thank you. All right, can you orient the board as to where this property is located? And also, for the record, just identify what A1 is.
The board is looking at Exhibit A1, which is a compilation of an aerial and several other sheets that we'll go through in the next couple minutes. A site plan was submitted, architect plans were submitted, and as exhibits, the civil exhibit set that is up on the screen was submitted, and an architect rendering showing a colored rendering was submitted also by the architect. The site, the board is looking at an aerial of the site. It is located at the intersection of Lehigh Boulevard and Adelphi Drive. It is, are you able, Anthony, to please zoom in a little bit more to the site that is delineated by the, yeah, thank you. It is located at the intersection of Adelphi and Lehigh. The zone is the R9 zone. The applicant is seeking to construct a house of worship with an accessory mikveh use contained within the same building, and associated improvements that are required, including parking, stormwater management. And before going through the site plan, as per discussion with the applicant, I'll go briefly through some of the operations. The applicant submitted a statement of operations. There are going to be prayer services, morning prayer services, evening prayer services. There currently are not afternoon prayer services. The shul services, 100 families that live generally within within walking distance. The morning weekday prayers begin generally at 7:10 a.m. The evening prayers are at 8:40. Saturday, on the Sabbath, the more members come and attend with the families. In the morning, services begin at 8 a.m. and they conclude around 11 a.m. Friday night services begin at around sundown and last approximately 45 minutes. Additionally, there is, and the architect will go through the floor plans, there is an accessory mikveh that is intended for use by men. Approximately 5 to 6 users would use it prior to the morning services, and that would be the mikveh services. Additionally, other operations taking place on the site include the multi-purpose room. The architect will go through the floor plans, but the intention, from an operational standpoint, the intention of that is for life cycle milestones, small life cycle milestones such as the birth of a child, bar mitzvah meant for member uses. The time to use that would be either post-services on a Sabbath, or it would be in the evening, and it is not meant to be rented out. It is meant for the member services.
Not rented out as part of the stipulation?
Yes.
Thank you.
And that, those events, if you will, would not happen during services, so you wouldn't have two things occurring at the same time.
These are post-services or in the evening, correct. Operationally, there would be refuse pickup. The site plan depicts an area for a refuse enclosure, and typically that would be able to be accomplished with twice weekly pickup, and the applicant would agree to restrict the refuse pickup to not take place prior to 7 a.m., not take place after 6 p.m., and additionally, there would be deliveries associated sometimes with either paper goods that need to be replenished, or sometimes with these life cycle events taking place in the multipurpose room, and it would be a typical small vehicle or a box truck that would come typically on a Friday afternoon when the parking lot is empty.
You said garbage pickup was going to be between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m.?
Yes.
6 p.m., okay.
That would cover the operations.
Go ahead. So you want to refer now to the site plan?
Yes. Are there any questions on the operations?
Well, let's do
Okay.
them all at once.
Could you, Anthony, could you go to the fourth page of this exhibit set? Thank you. And could you zoom in a little bit more to the site plan, to the site plan? Thank you.
And this was part of the submission that was made with the application, correct?
This
form?
is sheet C300 of the submitted set. There are no changes to the sheet. Just for ease of use, it was included in the exhibit set. The applicant seeks to construct a two-story place of worship with a basement, with a mikveh, as stated previously. The plan states the floor areas and the main sanctuary areas and multipurpose assembly areas. The main sanctuary area is 2,977 square feet. The multipurpose assembly area is 1,995 square feet and that would result in a parking requirement of 53 spaces. The applicant is proposing to provide a parking area with 50 physical spaces, 4 EV spaces, which would, with the EV credit, be counted as 54 spaces. There are 3 ADA accessible parking spaces. The parking area is accessed via 2 full access driveways along Adelphi and along Lehigh Boulevard. The police letter of concern had a comment regarding the need for no parking, and the applicant would agree to make request from the Township Council for no parking along Lehigh Boulevard and Adelphi between the intersection and the 2 driveways, as per the police department's recommendation.
Excuse me, is that just on the side of the shul, the property itself, or will that be across the street?
On the side of the shul.
Good, because we want to make sure that people have access to parking in front of their homes. Thank you.
Yes, and this way sight lines will be maintained, and the applicant will request that from the Township Council.
Yep.
The site plan.
Excuse me.
Sorry. Would applicant pay for the signage?
Yeah,
I know it
so-
sounds small, but they take full responsibility for that, working with our DPW?
So as a stipulation of approval, will the applicant take responsibility for the signage?
Oh, sure, no problem. Assuming the governing body approves it, we
Yep.
would pay for the signage, sure.
Go ahead, thank you.
The site plan depicts the refuse area. The refuse area is 10 feet off of the side property line, and a dimension shall be placed to ensure that. Are you able to go, please, to sheet number 2, 2 sheets up from this, Anthony, the second sheet of this exhibit? This is the landscape plan in color. The applicant additionally, as per the new ordinance, will be providing a robust landscape and buffering
So,
plan.
hold on a sec, this has to be marked, correct?
I think we're marking the entire exhibit set as A1.
No.
Well, yeah,
or should
why
we-
don't we do
each
individual?
one?
So why don't we
This will
label
be
this
This will be A2. This will
And
be
it's
A2.
a landscape
It's a
colored...
landscape colored rendering.
Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead, I'm sorry, Ellie.
The applicant is in receipt of the letter from the tree forester with his comments, as opposed to a separate email with a markup, and the applicant will work with Shari in order to comply with the ordinance and any comments regarding the landscaping.
And just to be clear, the report from Shari Sparrow was August 14th. That's the one you agree
Yes,
that you'll comply with?
yes.
Okay. Go ahead, continue.
Anthony, can you go to sheet?
Well, why don't you just generally describe how the landscape plan, just generally what we're proposing?
We're proposing along this property lines. Generally, we are proposing landscaping that is going to provide a screening buffer, so the place of worship property will not be visible from the neighboring properties and will not be able to see to the neighboring properties. That is what is depicted along the property lines. Along islands and along the front of the property, there are other shade trees, shrubs, in order to provide nice aesthetics to enhance the place of worship.
Next exhibit you're doing?
Can you go please to sheet number 5 of this exhibit set? Sheet number 5 is the grading, drainage, and utility plan. Sheet C400, not a separate exhibit, depicts the stormwater management. The applicant is complying with the NJDEP rules. The applicant is providing a surface basin and subsurface basin in order to mitigate and improve upon existing runoff from the site. Can you go to the next sheet, please?
Well, before, that stormwater management system will be owned and maintained by the property owner, correct?
It will.
Next sheet?
The applicant, this sheet is the fire circulation plan depicting fire circulation movement between the two driveways. The applicant has received a letter from the fire department, from the fire official, August 14th, with certain comments to provide fire hydrant, fire department connection, and the applicant will ensure that that takes place. There is additionally, that didn't come with the email, a picture that the fire official took of the plan to show exactly where he would like the fire hydrant, and he is happy with the depicted circulation.
So again, as a condition of approval, you would agree that the applicant will comply with the comments of the fire official report of August 14th?
The applicant will.
Okay.
I'll go through some of.
And that's all recommendations, correct?
All the recommendations?
All recommendations.
All the
Yes.
recommendations. The applicant will be resubmitting to the fire official and receiving a letter stating he approves of the revised, resubmitted plan.
So could you talk about the site lighting?
We'll go, I did not discuss site lighting. I believe that is part of this exhibit set. Anthony, could you go to the 2 sheets down? I'm sorry, in the other direction, 2 more sheets in the other direction. No. I'm sorry, it's not part of this exhibit set. You can pull up the site plan, the plan set, the file that's labeled plan set on the Township website.
While he's looking for that, can you describe the utilities, public water and sewer?
The applicant has made an application and received preliminary approval from the JTMUA for new water service and fire service, including sprinklering, and the applicant is going to be connecting to water main and sewer main that runs along Adelphi. And the preliminary approval is in hand, and the applicant will make the tentative and final application to the MUA.
So what sheet do you want him to go to?
Can you please bring up I believe, the 8th sheet of this set?
Sheet 8?
Thank you.
Yeah, that's it.
The lighting plan depicts both wall-mounted lights, pole-mounted lights, in order to provide the lighting for the parking area, and the applicant will provide cutoff shields in order to ensure that there is no spillage to the adjacent properties. There was a comment to provide the mounting heights on the building, and that will be provided on revised plans.
Are the lights going to be on timers?
The applicant would agree to put the lights on timers.
Well, if there's a 10, there's a 10. I wrote the times down.
The pole-mounted heights are going to be 20 feet. I'll go through some of the comments, the comments from the review letters.
Mr. Howard, may I just interrupt briefly? We'd like to make sure that the timers are set so that the lights go out. I would think if there was an 8:40, 10:30, what would be a reasonable time?
10:30, the
10:30.
applicant would agree to.
So the lights will be on a timer on the building and the poles.
The building and the poles,
Will go out by 10:30.
by 10:30, the applicant would request one building-mounted light to stay on for safety purposes.
Shielded and.
Shielded,
And
near the
not-
entrance.
Yes, just by the
Only,
entrance.
only one,
One shielded light by the entrance.
yes.
Thank you.
Are we not going to use a photostat?
Apologies, Mr. Morrison. The detail for the light poles in the parking lot is 15 feet mounting height. If we could, before the end of the hearing, just confirm that. And then can we reconcile that the building mounted height doesn't need to be any higher than the entrance height of the building, 8 or 10 feet? And both will have cutoff shields on them?
Typically, we could stick to 10 feet or 12 feet. We could stick to 10 feet.
That's fair. I want to make sure that we have an upper limit for each one on the record so we can add it to the
Yes.
resolution. That's all. Thank you.
And before you go into the reports, there's no freestanding sign proposed, correct?
Correct. The applicant is not proposing any freestanding.
And in other
sign.
applications, the board has asked us to provide a monument sign for site identification. That would trigger some variance relief. We have no issue. We defer to the board on how you want.
We're looking for street numbers, street addresses for the sake of the fire and the police departments.
And that's fine. We can
Small.
work with your professionals. Small monument sign for the
Monuments,
street.
is that okay,
address.
Mr. Trummer? Small monuments?
If they're gonna have lighting on the buildings, but
Do you want the signs, would they prefer signage on the building or on the?
it's preferred on the building for,
All right, because we're going to have two streets, so I want to make sure that we can leave signage on the building, no monuments, but we need the address, the number, the street number for signage.
if there's two entrances. you
There are
really
two
should have
entrances. Yep,
numbers. Right on the corners would be fine.
okay.
All right, well, when the architect comes up, we'll ask him
We'll
about
discuss that with the
Make sure.
architect.
Okay, that's fine.
Good, thank you.
All right, so I'm sorry, so you were going to start, which report are you referring to?
I will start with,
Hang on
Hold on
one
one
sec. Mr. Peters, just when it comes down to the verbiage that you want me to use for the condition of approval for the light poles, how do you want me to phrase that? We can work it out later, whatever you...
Light poles in the parking lot are dimensioned on the detail as 15 feet with cutoff shields, so there's no spillage onto adjacent properties. And then I wanted to make sure that we had a general dimension, either from the architect or the site civil engineer, of how high building-mounted signage needed to be to provide site safety.
Right.
And again, that normally
So we'll keep
some
that at-
distance above
Yeah.
the door. So if it needs to be 10 or 12 feet, that's fair. I just wanted to make sure we weren't going to have,
Yeah,
respectfully, spotlights at 30 feet, that's all.
I'll put that in as a condition. Yeah.
And anyone on the board have any comments
Wait.
at this time or questions, just before we
What?
get into the
Okay.
next portions? Anything? Just want to keep it clean.
Okay.
All right.
Mr. Rogers, did you have a question?
No.
No? Okay.
Thank you.
So, just brief, first of all, generally speaking, are there any issues within the reports that you cannot address as a condition of approval?
no, the applicant is willing to address and comply with all the comments.
Okay, there are a couple of points you want to highlight for the board?
And-
Okay, so go ahead.
The applicant, our traffic engineer will discuss some of the parking comments regarding the roadway classification, and will discuss one comment regarding, comment number 2, regarding the parking stalls utilizing the entrance and exit drives. I will leave that for the traffic engineer. The applicant will ensure that, comment number 6 will ensure that all the radii are 15 feet. We mentioned the police department letter, and the applicant will comply with the with the items of concern. The lighting, we just discussed, the mounting heights will be indicated, and we're leaving it open for 10 or, the mounting height will be indicated on the plans. I believe 12 may be better, a better height,
Which signs you talking about?
I'm talking about the lighting, the lighting.
I mean, the lighting, which lighting?
The building height lighting,
Because we just said 10 feet.
10 or 12, and will indicate a height once I have the exact calculations. And I'm thinking it's going to be 12, and it will not be more than 12.
No higher than 12.
No higher than 12. With cutoff shields, yes. The pole mounted are going to be at 15 feet.
Shielded as well.
Shielded as well. Landscaping, the applicant is going to comply with the comments and with the forester comments.
And you're talking about we're complying with both Mr. Klee's report and the RVE report, correct? All the conditions.
The RVE report and the forester report, and Mr. Klee's report as well. I'll go through Mr. Klee's report in a minute. And utilities, everything will be labeled. The trash enclosure is going to be a 10 by 18, and the discrepancy will be corrected in the detail as requested.
And what's the enclosure of the trash facility made out of?
The enclosure of the trash is going to be a board-on-board enclosure. Going through the comments of the board engineer, Again, there aren't variances, except the architect is going to discuss the wall signs. The applicant is going to comply with the requirements of Chapter 244166, and if the soil removal will exceed 1,000 cubic yards, a land grading license will be obtained. The applicant is going to, regarding stormwater, will be maintained by the applicant, and the applicant is going to provide a fully executed recorded document prior to the signing of the plans regarding the stormwater management facilities. We discussed lighting and landscaping. The applicant will be providing the 10-foot wide screen buffer, and in general, the applicant is able to and will comply with all the comments that are in the board review letters.
And then just one final question, and we've said it now a couple times, but there are two sections of the ordinance that relate to the proposed use. One's the house of worship section, and one's the mikveh section. We're complying with all ordinance requirements as it relates to the site plan itself, correct?
We are complying. The mikveh specifically is permitted only as an accessory use. It has certain limitations, and the architect plan depicts the plan as meeting those limitations, and it does not have any extra parking requirements.
That's all the testimony we have of Mr. Halper, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any questions from the board?
I'll ask a couple questions. Like you said, this is a shul, not a school. And this-
Correct.
And the hours of operation again are 7 to 10?
A statement of operations has been submitted, and the services, there are several services over the course of the day. Currently, there are two. The morning prayers are 7:10 to 8:25, and the evening are 8:40 to 10:25. At this point, there are no afternoon services. There may be if there would be, it would be at around 1:45, lasting approximately 15 minutes.
And you said this is servicing 100 families?
100 families.
So how many people are going to be coming in and out of this?
Some of the families do not use these use the shul during the week. As per the applicant, there are approximately 40 attendees during the week. On the Sabbath, everybody comes, everybody's walking. During the week, some will drive to other places near their work.
100 families and there's 5, 6 people per family, you could actually have 500, 600 people in this building?
That's whatever the fire code allows, and whatever the capacity is that's allowed, that's the max they can
Well, that's what
accomplish.
we're trying to establish.
Right.
What are we talking about? 'Cause 100 families is very general. You know,
Right.
I appreciate what you're saying, there's 30, 40 people during the day, which is normal, but like you said, on a holiday,
On the Sabbath is when there is the largest amount of people, and the applicant is going to be required to comply with building code rules with maximum occupancy.
all right, so we're going to have to establish a very clear and set occupancy on this. Fully sprinkled, because it's got,
This is sprinkled, yeah.
is the basement going to be fully sprinkled too?
I think that's a question for the architect.
I will let the architect go through the architect plan.
You're usually pretty good, you know
Yeah.
these things.
Will the applicant agree to a condition of approval for whatever the lesser of either the occupancy for the IBC or the International Fire Code would be? They would have to comply with that anyway.
We have to comply no matter what.
You have to
yes.
comply with it anyway, but I'm just saying.
We're going to put it in writing.
Put it in
That's fine,
writing,
yes.
make a condition of
issue.
approval,
Okay.
whatever the lesser of those two are.
That's
Okay.
fine.
Like I said, the sign on the building, I don't think both corners. Again, I know it's not a requirement. I see that you have signs in Hebrew. Is there any chance, I mean, if the building...
Mr. Tremer, could you please use your microphone?
Sorry. I know it's not code, but thinking as a responder, will the building actually have a specific name? So we know as we go down the road, I mean, this is pretty unique where it's going to be located. But I'm thinking if we put a name that's not in Hebrew on the building would be very important.
I think I think earlier it was discussed to put numbering.
Yeah.
I think that would take care of the identification.
You would think so. I'm just saying as an add-on.
An add-on
if it's
English.
possible.
When
can
the
talk about
architect comes up, we could ask him.
Just something to think about.
Okay.
It's my own personal thing. And it's going to be no street parking whatsoever.
That's up to the governing body, but if they prohibit parking, then we would put the signs up to prohibit, and then there'll be enforcement mechanisms. They can be
Mr. Chairman,
ticketed.
we did discuss the fact that there will be no parking on the shul sides of the street because there are two streets. However, across the streets, the residents would want parking in front of their own homes.
I get that.
So we don't want to have no parking on both sides of the street. It would be inconvenient for the residents.
Fair enough.
Thank you.
Again, this might not be the question for you. Where is the EV parking? I
We
didn't
have
see it on any of
The EV parking is depicted on the site plan. However, the fire review letter, which was only a letter was provided. However, he provided to me a markup. He would like the EV spaces farther away and in the rear, in this area. For the fire official, he would like them away from the building. So the current plan depicts them, I believe, over here. This is not the site plan, but either way, the applicant will comply with the fire official review and place the EVs away from the building.
Yeah, no, I didn't see it on there, but that's perfect. Thank you. What's the height of the building? Do we know?
The height of the building
It's the
is
architect.
approximately 26 feet. The architect will discuss, again, the building.
That's fine. All right, yeah, I got another basement question, but that's good. Thank you.
Any other questions? I am particularly familiar with this site. Since 55 years ago last month, I made Brookwood 3 our first home. I entered there with 2 children and left with 5.
Wow.
Before we moved. And I lived on the corner of Villanova and Drexel. So I drove by this area every day for many years. Interestingly enough, one of our friends happened to be Mr. Boyarin. I don't know if you are familiar with that name, some of the old timers here maybe. Mr. Boyarin owned that piece of property and built a private ranch home there on a very large lot. When we would go to his house, he would often brag to me that my house was on a quarter of an acre, 4-bedroom colonial, and his house was on a very large lot. So the choice of the lot is particularly appropriate because it does give, it is not a Brookwood home that is being torn down. It is a private home that was built before Brookwood was built, and Brookwood surrounded that particular lot. So a little history on how familiar I am with this lot. You come in off County Line Road, and it's not far in when this particular single lot that was not part of Brookwood appears. So it's not, it's unique, and I think that was mentioned a couple of times, that this is a unique location within a development.
Yes, this is an R9 zone with a 1-acre property in an R9 zone where the requirement is not.
Quite unusual. Yes, okay, thank you. Just wanted to make that personal statement that I'm quite familiar with that area. Thank you.
Just to be clear, so there's no variances, no waivers, and you exceed parking criteria, correct?
We conform to parking.
Right, I think
You exceed.
I think
you have
by-
54 and 53 is required.
Right,
Correct,
by one.
54 with the EV, correct,
Right.
correct.
Okay. And there's no waivers either?
No, We have signage, the architect will talk about, but from a site plan point of view, no
Right, there's
variance, no...
that's why I was just
Yeah,
looking
yes.
at that.
Excuse me, I would like to address the height of the building. You said 26 feet. I'm looking at the A6 drawing, and on the right side, the measurements bring it to
It's a hill.
29 feet to the deck. But on the left side, the grade of the ground slopes to a point where I don't know what the height of the building is.
Yeah, it's a hill. There's a slight
Okay.
rise in that area. The rest of the area is fairly flat, but that particular area is quite a hill.
But wouldn't you measure it from the flattest part to
We're-
the top?
I think we should let the architect answer it, and he'll tell you how it's measured per your ordinance, and then he can give you the exact height based on that.
Okay, because I'm looking at it over.
I understand, yeah.
Anyone else? Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Yes,
Real
please.
quickly, and the stormwater design is going to be compliant with DEP and...
And your local ordinance.
Yes.
And I'm not saying it, but it might be a good idea, emergency generator?
We talked about that, didn't we?
I don't know if there's,
Yeah, they were trying to find a location where they can put it.
Wherever it's, if you want one, wherever you put it, it's short of a front yard or something, or,
The front
violation,
yard would be
then
okay?
This might be a good idea.
Yes, given what's going on lately in Jackson with the utilities, might be a wise plan.
Yeah, so, Mr. Halper, where do you think it would go?
there is room in the front yard. If the board would be agreeable to having it in the front yard, the applicant would be
With
able...
proper
Buffering.
With buffering around it.
buffering and,
Which front yard, which street? Adelphia or?
Along Adelphi is where there is more
Adelphi,
room.
sorry.
Is where there is more room. And I could work with the board engineer on that.
so you'll make sure that you work with our engineer on that,
To
on the
properly
location.
buffer it, and to buffer it properly. It will require relief because it's a front yard, but we'll buffer it so that it's, right. Correct, that's fine.
Great, great. Mr. Peters, anything? That's it? All right.
Mr. Peters, anything? Oh,
Good to go.
you're going to do public all at the end, or?
We'll do the public at the public should understand that what we will do is we will have all the testimony from the three professionals. After the three professionals give their testimony, so have your notebooks ready, you can come up and ask questions that refer to what the applicants have addressed. We'll listen to those public questions. When that is finished, we will close that and open another section, and the public can come forward and make comments on this application only. Thank you.
We're now going to call our architect.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth? All right, please state your name and spell your last for the record. It's not working?
Got it. Naftali Gut, Naftoligut.
And Mr. Gutt, would you place your credentials on the record, please?
Yes, I'm a licensed architect in New Jersey and several other states. I'm the principal of Gut Van LLC, which is a Lakewood-based architectural firm. I have testified before this board and other boards, and these drawings were prepared under my supervision.
The board accepts your credentials?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
And there's an exhibit up, is that the exhibit you want to refer to?
Yeah, that's good.
And that was the plan that has been submitted already to the board?
Correct.
Okay, go ahead, continue.
Okay, so just a little overview. The building will be utilizing 5B construction, which is wood construction. The entire building will be sprinkled. That's the basement, first floor, and second floor. There is an elevator serving the basement and the first floor. The second floor is not required to have elevator access because it's less than 3,000 square feet. Each floor will have 2 staircases to ensure safe and efficient evacuation if necessary. There is a ramp on the first floor as well as a ramp to the basement. Anthony, if you could bring up the first floor plan, I believe it is sheet A2. Okay, so this is the main floor. Over to the left side, we have the base medrash. We have access from the parking lot over here. We have another ramp over here by the main entrance, and a secondary access. And the secondary access over here, we have, that's what we call the Eitzer is the library over there. The base medrash is accessed through this little vestibule buffer area as well as over here. We have a large men's washroom and a bathroom and a large coat room over there. If we could go to the A3, next sheet. We have open space to below over here. So this is just a single base medrash open to below. We have Ezra's Nashim, which is the women's section over here. We have men's and ladies' bathroom as this Ezra's Nashim is sometimes used as a overflow for the men, that want quiet area while there's services happening downstairs. Again, we have 2 means of egress and fully accessible bathrooms and sink rooms. If we could go back to A1, I believe. In the basement, we have the multi-purpose room. We have a warming kitchen, no cooking, just warming. Storage rooms, sprinkler room for the entire building. Mechanical space over here. Storage for the multi-purpose room. Again, men's and women's bathroom. Over here and over here. On the top right corner, we have the men's mikvah, which is 1 changing room and 6 showers, and it's meant for the congregants only. And there's the changing room over there. The total square footage of the mikveh area is 770 square feet, and that number will be included in the cover sheet. Building heights, the basement ceiling height is 10 feet. The first floor ceiling height will be 11 feet. On the elevation, it shows 13 feet. That's floor to floor, but the actual finish height will be 11 feet. The main congregant area, the base medrash, that's a double height space, and that's going to be a total of 25 feet. And the second floor ceiling height will be 12 feet. The total building height is 35 feet, and the way that 35 feet number comes from is the average grade around the building. So we have 35 feet plus a 3-foot parapet around the entire building, and by the front entrance, there's a little higher parapet with 4 feet.
But based upon your review of the ordinance, the height complies with the ordinance requirements, is that correct?
Correct. Anthony, if you could bring up the architectural exhibit of the exterior rendering.
And was this previously submitted, or we're marking it tonight?
Yeah, this was submitted.
This was part of the submission package?
We didn't receive this.
Oh, it has to be marked now, though.
It has
So-
to be marked.
So
We
this is
didn't receive
A3.
this.
Would you identify what A3 is, please? Explain verbally what A3...
Okay, A3, this is the exterior rendering of the, I believe it's the north side?
This is an exterior architectural rendering.
elevation.
Right, and this is the facade that's facing the parking lot. On this front facade, which we're calling, is 2 shades of stucco. We have stucco, and we have stone cladding accents over there and on the base. We have accent lighting, which is only for aesthetics, and we can see the ramp over there. The other sides of the building will be primarily stucco. a little more simple than this, but same coloring and same style. Signage. So this application, as we heard before, is variance-free. We are requesting for extra signage, being that the unique placement of this building has two front of the building facing a street, and this facing the parking lot, and the fourth side is access through the parking lot. So we need some kind of wayfinder signage, and the typical dedication signage also. According to my calculations, what we showed, we have a total of 89 square feet as shown on the elevations, but there is more than one sign.
Say, what was that last comment?
Meaning that the total square footage is 9 feet over what's normally allowed of 80 square feet. And in addition, we have a total of 4 signs as opposed to 1 sign.
And that's because we have a sign on each of the sides of the
Correct.
building.
Correct. So no single sign is very large, but in aggregate, we have a lot of signage. So we try to keep them small, but there's 4 signs, so kind of adds up.
You heard the comment about having either, well, first of all, building identification sign a number so that the fire department or public can know where the address is.
Agreed.
Is any of that on your sign package presently?
Yeah, the sign package is pretty generic. It's just showing proposed signage, leaving it generic. And
So that you
part
could,
of that.
you could provide a numbered sign and still be within that 89 square feet that you were talking about?
Well, if the board would allow a little more leeway, then we could get the numbers in there and maybe get Mr. Tremer's English sign. I would be open to that, at least for one side. I also want to point out one of the signs we're showing on the west facade is not even it's not a wall mounted sign. It's etching in the glass. We have a big window there, and we're proposing just to etch it in the glass, not to increase the wall signs as much.
It's necessary to have 4 signs? I mean, they know where they're going.
Well, again, some of it is for people on the street to know, just to identify it. There's also emergency personnel that have to find it coming from all areas. And then just like this facade is just facing the parking lot. It would be, I feel it would be a little weird if there was no sign there. Like, this is essentially the face of the synagogue, even though it's not facing the street.
So if we pull up, Anthony, could you go back to the site plan? This way we could see the building, and then we can go side by side and discuss what you want. I'm sure that's fine. So the view that you were referring to is the top view presently,
Right,
correct?
that's facing the parking lot, and that's
Right.
essentially what we're calling the front facade, because that's where everyone's pulling in, and that's the part that's dressed up. We have this what we're calling the north elevation facing the street, and we're also on Lee Boulevard over here. So I guess the real extra one we're asking for is another one over here on your way into the
The
parking
one
lot.
on the right, on the far right, is, I don't know that that's really totally necessary, since we're trying to eliminate too much signage. And there will be signage on the front corners and on the back by the parking lot. We might be able to live without that one.
Well, that's the one that's etched in glass. It's not a real sign.
That's the etched in glass one, all right. Which will be nice, but there's an awful lot
Again,
of
it's not a
signage.
backlit sign. It's kind of like very, I guess you'd call it, very subtle, It's just a
You're
proposal.
talking about 4 signs. That's a lot of signage. And we do try to stick to the rules here. So pick 2 that can go.
2?
2,
Well-
because we're asking for 4, or 3, so pick
3.
one. So if we do the corners, or we do but with the address, we need the address. We don't need all the other signage. We need to know where people are going.
You're going to need the numbers to comply with the fire safety letter anyway.
So if we put the number and the name of the shul in both Hebrew and English on the two frontages,
Correct.
and then just have that identification sign in the back that you've seen
Correct.
already, and eliminate the right side?
Correct. The right side is the etched
Correct.
glass one.
So if you, no
which is-
signage,
which
That's
just...
the extra one.
That's aesthetic.
Right, so we would, that's fine with us. We would have etched only on the right side, and then the
Correct.
signs as we just discussed?
Correct. How does everybody feel about that? Thoughts? Okay.
Chair?
Yes, sir.
Can- Gentlemen, respectfully, the information you've discussed is not currently on the plans that were submitted? Yes, no?
I don't know. I didn't,
They're not.
The elevations do show
Yeah,
signage.
we didn't get the color renderings, for instance. We didn't see those.
Oh, but on the elevation, if you could pull up the architectural plans, we
On
are
the
showing the
elevations,
Mr.
signage.
they're
Alfieri?
there. Yes.
Can you confirm that the submission did not include a request for variances or a description of the number of signs or the area of the signs for the board's professionals to review? And subsequently, as part of resolution compliance, they'll be provided so there's no confusion.
yes.
Thank you.
And we would also stipulate the gross square footage so that there's no confusion when we come up with sizes. What would be the total gross square footage? You eliminate the etched glass because that, we're not treating that as a sign per se.
So I had a total of less than 80 if you,
So now with the
Don't count
numbering,
the-
we should comply with the gross square footage of 80.
I think
And that's compliant.
That's combined.
Would you agree, gentlemen, that that puts it in the area of compliance? So no waiver is necessary,
Except for the number.
except for the numbers, and we're in agreement on the need for the numbers, for safety.
amount of signs.
Good.
And then we won't need a monument sign because we'll have the numbers on the building, which
Correct.
is fine. And that's all we have for you, correct?
I think so.
That's all for the architect, Madam Chair.
Any questions for the architect?
Yes,
Mr. Rogers?
thank you. As a resident of Jackson, I live in a residential area, a development, and I'm very familiar with this development also. Now, when I look at the east elevation, I'd like to clarify something in my mind. What I'm taking is the dark line to be ground level, is that correct?
A8. We're looking at A8, Mr. Rogers?
Yes, we are. Yes,
Could you repeat the question?
the dark line, that's the ground level?
The dark line is basement. The grade varies a lot, so if you look at the sheet,
It's ground level. Yeah, that's the elevation. Okay, then I look at the 12-foot elevation, first elevation above grade. Then there's a 16-foot, or 13-foot, and then a 16-foot. So
On
how
A-
does that come
on
out?
A5, which would be the south elevation, so we have that dotted line that says average grade. That's how we calculated our building height.
Yes, but I don't believe that's the ordinance. Isn't the ordinance no building height above?
So, might I help out?
Yeah.
Mr. Gutt, on A5, what's the proposed dimension between the first floor and the second floor?
So that's 13 feet total. And that's 11-foot ceiling height plus
I
2.
can't hear you, you need to
It's
project.
13 feet total, and that's 11 feet, that's ceiling height of 11 feet and 2 feet for the structure.
We're trying to figure out the height of the building. The interior part
Got it. So it's
is not
13,
necessary. So the
Thir-
first floor to second floor is 13 feet?
correct?
Okay. I
Then we have-
understand that on the site civil engineering plans, it's only 12 feet. That needs to be reconciled.
Okay.
What's the dimension from the second floor to the roof deck?
So that's, I think it's 16 feet? 16 feet, and that's again 12.
16 or 15?
16.
16. Okay, and what's the dimension from the first floor to the basement?
First floor to the basement is 12 feet?
Okay. I would strongly suggest that you and the site engineer reconcile how to measure building height as it relates to average grade. If you're not requesting a variance, We're going to take the applicant at their word that there's not a request for a height variance. I'm here to tell you, based upon the information on the site civil drawing and your information, that the building height is over 36 feet. Because the average grade on your plan is incorrect, based upon what's on the site civil plan. I don't want to belabor the point. Suffice it to say, you're not asking for a building height
We are
variance,
not
correct?
asking, correct.
So between the site civil and yourself, you're going to have to reconcile the difference that was in our report that you haven't testified to yet as part of resolution compliance, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
So as a condition of approval, the applicant will be testifying to the fact that will not exceed 35 feet.
That is correct.
In your ordinance, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
And I'd suggest that when you've gone through the machinations of doing all this reordering, you will contact our professionals, and we'll make sure that you're all in agreement.
I have one more question on this.
Mr. Klee's going to have to sign off on
Correct.
that anyway. Yeah.
Right? Mr. Klee knows it's coming.
Yeah,
This is not a point of ordinance, but it's a point of curiosity for me and maybe the audience. Why is this shul so much larger than other shuls in the township? Aldridge and Connecticut Concourse is a one-story house. No?
yeah, it's really a function of need in this, they believe in this community, in this area, they need this size shul. So there's
That's
really
what
no
I'm
other
asking.
reason.
Why
Yeah.
is the,
Yeah, also, that other shul you're referring to was an addition house. There was a house there, we put an addition on it. I didn't want to overpower the existing house. But, you know, these numbers are within the allowance of 35 feet. That, you know, I'd try to get as much height as possible without exceeding what's allowed.
I was just curious as to why the difference.
And one thing I didn't ask you was about the roof, right? And whether it's built to accommodate solar in the event the solar's provided someday.
Correct, yes.
Thank you.
We could just turn off the cell phones.
I have a couple questions. First off, I see inside you have an elevator going from the first floor to the basement, but not to the second floor. Is there a reason for that?
The second floor wasn't required as the square footage is less than 3,000 square feet, so it wasn't required. So we're still providing two means of egress as by the stairs, but the elevator would have been complicated, so it wasn't required, we didn't do it.
And the other point I want to make is, I would really like to see when applicants going forward come here, that they come here with accurate numbers and that the numbers match up. I don't want to hear this again. I don't want to hear this again, that my numbers don't match up with the one plan and this plan. Going forward, I like to see applications have accurate numbers so we don't have to debate this over and over again. Thank you.
Any other questions for this witness? Seeing none, thank you.
Last is Scott Kennel.
You're like a permanent.
Good evening.
Should get a cot, Mr.
You're a permanent
Kennedy.
fixture here.
Yeah.
You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
All right.
Scott Kennel, Kennel, with McDonough and Ray Associates, located at 1431 Lakewood Road, Manasquan.
And Mr. Kennel, you're seeking to be qualified as a licensed traffic expert. I know you've testified before this board previously.
I qualify as a traffic expert, correct?
Yes.
As recognized by New Jersey Superior Court.
Thank you, welcome, we accept your
Thank you.
credentials.
There we go.
And your office prepared a traffic analysis that was submitted in support of the application, is that correct?
That is correct.
Can you run through with the board what you did to prepare the report and what your conclusions were?
Sure. So there was a traffic report submitted to the board. It's dated April 24, 2025. And it includes an inventory of existing traffic conditions in the area, as well as it summarizes traffic counts that were conducted at the intersection of Lehigh Boulevard and Adelphi Drive in April of 2024. Those counts were conducted during the morning hours from 7 to 10 a.m., with a peak hour of 8:30 to 9:30 a.m. The afternoon counts were conducted from 3 to 6 p.m., and the peak hour recorded occurred from 4:45 to 5:45 p.m. As far as traffic projections, as is what we typically do for this type of use, we took into consideration the number of parking spaces and assumed that they all would be occupied during the peak hour. In other words, 50 people entering and 50 people exiting. So we had a peak hour traffic generation of 100 vehicles. Again, that's for 1 hour. If there's multiple services, that takes place over multiple hours. So again, it's representing, based on the capacity of the parking lot, that was the basis for our traffic projections. And given the roadway network, the existing traffic patterns, we basically had 70% of the traffic oriented to and from the west because they have access to the traffic signal at County Line Road. And then to the east, we have the right-in, right-out to Lehigh Boulevard, and we had approximately 30%. And that's generally, a lot of that is developed based on the traffic data we collected and the patterns that were observed. The next step was to determine how well the intersection of Lehigh Boulevard at Adelphi and at the site driveways would operate. We utilized the Ocean County Planning Board protocol where we expanded the traffic volumes to a design year of 2035. And based on that analysis, it was determined that the site driveways as well as the adjacent intersection will operate a level service A. In other words, meaning that the average vehicle delays are less than 10 seconds per vehicle during those recording periods. I typically don't say that, but in this case, all the study locations are level service A. As far as the site plan, it was indicated that we are providing 50 physical parking spaces. There are 4 EV spaces, but based on state statute, that accounts for 54 spaces. So we're in compliance with the Township Ordinance as far as required parking. The aisle widths are at 24-foot width. They've been designed to accommodate not only the passenger vehicles, but large wheelbase vehicles such as fire, emergency, or refuse. So in my opinion, the site has been properly designed to provide safe and efficient movement of vehicles. The driveway locations are located at such a place where we optimize sight lines, so therefore the site driveways, in my opinion, will operate safely and efficiently, especially considering the recommendation of the Jackson PD, which I agree with, that to prohibit parking along the site frontage on both streets so that we have unobstructed sight lines, not only at the intersection, but at the site driveway serving the shul. That basically completes my testimony. Again, from a traffic standpoint, there's the intersections and the site driveways operate at A-level service. The site's been designed to provide positive on-site circulation, and the parking provided complies with the Township Ordinance. There were, I guess, 2 outstanding items in the Remington-Vernick report, specifically on, starting with page 5, item 1, as far as the roadway classification and compliance with the Township Ordinance. According to the residential site improvement standards, both streets are considered residential access roadways or local roadways, so therefore the roadway classifications that relates to the residential site improvements, this site complies with that provision of the ordinance. As far as item number 2, it speaks to having no parking stalls on the entrances and exit driveways or major circulation aisles. Is my opinion, given the number of parking spaces here in the size of the site, it's relatively low volume and low speeds. Also, the other critical aspect in looking at whether or not parking spaces adjacent to driveways are appropriately located is how well the driveways operate. And based on our analysis indicates that the 95th percentile queue or stacking is less than 1 vehicle, so therefore, taking that into consideration, it's my opinion that the site has been designed appropriately, can operate safely, and that the board could grant the waiver request on that provision.
I don't know if you testified to the, or both, are either of these roads subject to county jurisdiction?
They are not.
Okay. Does a county application have to be filed at all, from a traffic point of view?
From a traffic standpoint, no, but I'll defer to the site
Right.
engineer based on
For
the
site
size of the
plan.
lot. Correct.
That's different, but traffic, so they have no jurisdiction over the roads?
That's correct.
Okay. That's all we have, Mr. Kennel, Madam Chair.
Any questions for this
Just one.
gentleman?
In retail traffic studies, when they're doing the shopping center, for instance, a lot of times the traffic engineer will ask the retailers, what's their average customer count per hour? Do we have that information for the shul, for the service? In other words, is there any indication that they may exceed the 55?
Well, again, there was indicated that right now, I guess there's 40 families, can be up to 100 families. And my experience has been is that if there is a capacity issue, which again is dictated by the fire code, then there will be multiple services to accommodate that. So it's going to be self-regulated based on, well, it's going to be regulated by the fire code. It's also going to be self-regulated by the number of participants at the...
Well, when you say that, the fire code is going to restrict the amount of people in the building,
Correct.
but it's not going to restrict the amount of cars traveling on the site.
And again, when their peak occupancy typically occurs on Saturday, on the Sabbath, when they are walking, they are not driving, so parking will not be an issue.
Okay, so, but there's no other information indicating that we would,
Correct.
okay, thank you.
Oh, is there signage along the driveways that there should be no parking?
No,
Do we know? Because
I don't think there is. We can add that.
I think that might be a good idea.
Sure.
Because those are nice wide driveways. We wouldn't want to see anyone parking along the interior areas to impede safety equipment, safety vehicles, fire, police, et cetera.
We can add the signage, and we can also implement Title 39, so it's enforceable.
Yes, so that would,
Well, it may not be signage. The fire department wants fire striping, so either or, but we have no issue with
either
that.
or,
Yeah.
but we don't want parking in
In the
those
lanes.
aisles.
That's
That's the important part. Thank you. Any other questions for this gentleman?
Madam Chair?
Hearing- Yes, sir.
Mr. Kennel, thank you for your testimony. Believe it or not, this subdivision predates site triangles. Actually went and looked up the old
1962.
file map.
I remember.
Would it be a reasonable condition for approval that your office and your engineer's office and Mr. Klee work out a reasonable site distance at the intersection within which the plantings will not extend?
Yes.
Thank you. And I was writing while you were talking, and I might have been chewing gum at the same time, which means I couldn't do both of them right. The police report indicated they recommended connecting the street sidewalk with the interior sidewalk for easier pedestrian access. Did you all agree to that?
Yeah, Mr. Halpert agreed to address the police report
Do
entirely.
you understand that that may require steps?
That I don't know. Mr. Halpert?
It may because of the
The slope?
elevation.
Correct.
Yes, the elevation is unusual in that spot.
I just wanted to make sure it was clear that in order to do that, you're probably going to need steps. It's kind of like getting from Bates Road to the St. Al's. There's one or two steps in there. Anyone who's been there when it's raining or snowing will forget that there's a step there.
It will be appropriately marked, correct, for the
Yeah, we'll work with your
walkways.
professionals for that.
Thank you,
That's all I have for Mr. Kennel. Thank you.
thank you. Mr. Klee, anything? Okay,
And that concludes our presentation, Madam Chair.
thank you.
All right. So I'm just going to piggyback off of Madam Chairwoman's recitation about about how the next step is going to be broken up. There's going to be two different sections. First section is going to be for cross-examination of any of the witnesses that presented testimony tonight. So this is just, if you have any questions about what they testified to in regards to the plans, what they put on record, anything like that. Ask them direct questions about that. Second part is going to be that of the general comment. It's how you feel about it, your opinions, your thoughts, not direct questions to any of the professionals, but just your opinions and thoughts on the matter. All right? So we'll start with the cross-examination questions.
I'd like to make a motion to open the cross-examination of witnesses and cross-examination only on this application. Sullivan.
Second, Dreamer.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, the floor is open.
Ray Catoner.
Please use the microphone because this is being recorded and the people on Zoom want to be able to hear.
All right, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right, please state your name and spell your last for the record.
Ray Catoner. I live in the development where this is being built.
And your address?
11 Fordham Road.
If you could spell your last name for the board secretary?
Cattonar. My family's owned a house in that Brookwood for 62 years. Where I appreciate Chairperson Campbell, when you own the house, there's really one way out if you're going to go away from Lakewood on County Line Road. The driveways looks to me about 50 feet away. We've been experiencing having to wait for 2 lights to leave our development currently.
Do you have any questions for the experts? This
I'm
is the
getting
question
to
part.
it.
Yeah,
Okay.
those statements are better for the second half. If you could stick to the questioning for the first half, that's protocol.
I'm leading to it, you just didn't let me get there.
No, that's fine, as long as it's going to be a question directed at the experts.
Traffic, big question mark. I think Mr. Kennel indicating it's going to add a 10-second delay to have 50 potential cars coming in and out of the development. That U-turn can handle, in my opinion, about 5 or 6 cars. We currently wait 2 traffic lights to get into our development now. I find it almost impossible to believe if we're adding 50 additional cars.
I don't want to cut you off again, but you're making kind of an opinionated statement. If you have any direct questions, like
How is it possible it's
Exactly.
only going to create a 10-second delay?
There you go, you can ask them.
How's that?
Yeah.
Again, as I testified, I analyzed the Delphi and Lehigh as well as the site driveways, and that's what the results of our analysis were. As far as the signalized intersection, our office did not conduct counts. Again, a lot of the traffic that's going to be generated by the shul during the peak hours are already internal to the development. So it's not going to be new traffic. It's traffic that generally already exists, unlike a office building or a retail where it's generating new trips. So
what you're describing is it's supposed to be within the community, they're going to get in their cars and literally drive to this facility? Or are they going to be coming from another location?
many of them would be in the community. I'm not saying all of them, but many of them would be in the community and driving and going to a service on their way prior to going to work or their other destination. It's part of their commuting pattern, for the lack of a better term. And then as far as the evening periods, again, a lot of the congregants live within the neighborhood, so they're already on the internal streets.
I find that interesting because you also said that Saturdays, first of all, the cars are all parked all over the place. They're already on a Saturday. I mean, I'm in and out of the development multiple times a day. I notice they're parked there's a lot of parking on the street. I don't understand how it's, maybe a 15-minute walk, so people are literally going to get in their cars and drive to the facility in our development?
Well, during Monday through Friday and on Sunday, but on the Sabbath, they do not drive, so they will walk.
Right.
But as far as driving during the week, again, as I mentioned, it's part of their protocol during the day to go to service before they go to work or wherever their destination is going, or taking children to school. You know, that occurs in the morning hours prior to doing that other activity or going to work.
Now, have you taken into consideration, because this is a residential community, the streets are not very wide. If it's a car parked on the right-hand side and on the left-hand side, only one car can drive through. So if you're adding additional traffic during these peak times, it's going to create, in my opinion, a significant waiting time and could cause accidents.
Well, again, that's taken into consideration that the roads that were designed to the township standard at that time before the residential site improvement standards were put in place. And again, the volume of traffic on these roads during the peak hours, for example, Lehigh Boulevard, in the vicinity of the site is approximately 150 vehicles two-way. That's not a large volume, and that level of volume can be accommodated if there's cars on both sides and people have to alternate flow. I mean, that's standard operating procedure. And as I stated, many of these vehicles that are be going to the shul are already within the community and traveling through the streets today.
We also made it clear that we would have parking only on one side of the street. That should help the traffic. Plus, if I remember correctly, Lehigh is a much wider road than Adelphi.
It's a little bit wider, yes.
Yes,
But
it's a wider
this is on
road.
a side street, so what prevents driving through the developments to come out the other side to try to get through?
Well, I think the traffic is divided there anyway because there are two exits from that community.
Right.
So
But only one
somebody's-
exit you
if
can go
somebody's really
left.
smart, they'll go all the way over to the Drexel Drive side.
Which will create a traffic jam going
But
down
they're going
the
right.
street.
They're making right-hand turns. They can't make a left-hand turn there. So
Right.
they're going to make a right-hand turn. So it makes sense that people might learn to divide and find it. And I
Have you
agree with,
recently been in our development?
only 3 times this week.
Okay.
So I'm very familiar. I agree with the problem about making the left turn in.
Right. It backs up
That's an
traffic.
issue. I'm not sure that it's an inconvenience, for sure.
So what are you going to do? We're already going through 2 lights. The U-turn's pretty much packed most of the time during the day. So if you're going to add this additional flow leaving development and coming back from the development, you're going to back up traffic on County Line Road, which creates a very dangerous
That's why we have a
situation.
traffic engineer.
Right.
And we accept his testimony. He tells us what the possibilities are, what the rules are, what the laws are, what the ordinances are, and they're compliant.
Because we have many buses that go around that U-turn to pick the kids up and drop them off multiple times a day. So
Fortunately-
was that factored into your traffic plan?
So can I comment on the traffic? Because we're at the planning board and this is a permitted use, the only obligation that the applicant has is to make sure that the 2 driveways operate safely and efficiently. All other off-site traffic conditions are not relevant because that's not what this applicant can fix. They can't fix off-site traffic. They can only make sure their driveways work. So by law, that's why that intersection wasn't studied. That's why the street widths aren't studied, because it's not.
Yeah,
relevant.
I'll give my 2 cents on that. So just so everybody, it's kind of a blanket legal statement for everybody. So what happened was, a number of years ago, a case by the name of Dunkin' Donuts, I think, versus New Brunswick, went up to the Supreme Court. And a couple of years ago. And the Supreme Court, for whatever reason, in their infinite wisdom, decided that at the planning board level, a board can't take into consideration any off-site traffic once it goes beyond the egress-ingress point. So basically what happens is that we can take into consideration the internal circulation plan, which, like you see the arrows on the map, that would be what that is. And then we can take into consideration the ingress and egress point. And essentially what the Supreme Court wants us to do is once it leaves the ingress-egress point, it basically falls into a black hole. And we don't have the legal right to deny
I
or approve.
understand that, but-
I'm just saying that, like, this is the sandbox that we're working with. And if we do it inappropriately, unfortunately, we set ourselves up for an appeal and litigation, the whole 9 yards. So,
But we're discussing leaving the development, not
Right.
crossing
That's not
county
our
line
purview.
and coming into the
well,
development.
I'm not talking about the development, I'm talking about the site. So what happens is that the only thing that we can take into consideration is the safety of the ingress and egress point. like literally the access onto the property itself and then the internal circulation. Anything beyond that, it's great that we have these traffic studies and everything like that, but as of a couple of years ago, they kind of became almost irrelevant at a planning board level. The zoning board can take them into consideration. For whatever reason, the Supreme Court allowed the zoning board to still take into consideration off-site traffic, but I'm just putting that on record, not that I don't respect you coming up here and putting everything on record. This is just a sandbox that we have to work with legally, that's it.
The other thing that you can take into consideration is that there is a county planning board. This County Line Road is a county road, so you can approach the county planning board to discuss traffic. We
My
cannot-
reference is
we
in the
cannot.
development still. I understand what you're saying,
Yeah. There are
but
two-
you've got to get in the development, and you're creating traffic to get out of the development, which should be under this purview, before you cross
Wait,
County Line Road.
And when you say development, you mean the whole complex?
Brookwood 3, yes.
Yeah, we can't take anything outside, literally, the entrance and exit ways on that map right there into
property.
consideration at the board
So
level
there's
for
no
any application.
concern you're impeding on the rest of the residents of the development.
Unfortunately,
You can't rule on
that's what the law says.
That's really unbelievable.
Listen, I'm right there with you. I think it's going to be overturned in the next couple of years, but that's a sandbox that we have to play in.
Any questions for these professionals, sir?
That's it for me.
Thank you.
Please raise your right hand.
Hope Drew, 2 Iowa Court.
Oh, I got to swear you in.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right?
All right, so I'm a little all over the place. I'm used to council meetings. I'm not used to planning board meetings. Okay, so I do have a question for you, sir. Hi. Okay, so your application is for a house of worship, correct? Or is this an application for a synagogue?
I don't know the difference.
Exactly, none of us do. So right here, if you look up at the Jackson Township Code under 244, under definitions, and luckily just recently, you know, they added more to that. They added assembly area, dormitory. So Jackson went out of its way to define assembly rooms, like I said, dormitories, ritual bathhouses, but they refused, when I say refuse, because I've been asking for over 10 years, for a interpretation or a definition of what a house of worship is. They also do not define what a synagogue is, a mosque, a shul, none of those are. But every application since the ordinances were changed have come before this board and used those words. So, under NJSA 40:55D-70B, this board is responsible for a full-blown interpretation which should be sent back to the zoning board. You cannot, I don't know how you can sit up here and decide what a house of worship is if it's not defined.
Mr.
Hang on.
Yeah,
One
so I'm
thing at a
just
time.
asking what he was.
We have order.
Okay.
Please.
So I'm impressed that you have that interpretation because most people, even land use attorneys, go through their whole lives and never seek an interpretation. So
Yeah.
hats off to you. Right?
I would like one. So.
So you'd actually be a land use attorney.
Yeah.
So that's not how that works, though. So
Okay.
what happens is that whenever you seek an interpretation, it has to be a formal request via actual application. That interpretation request gets sent to the zoning officer.
Mm-hmm.
The zoning officer then has to render a determination or hold a hearing at the zoning board level for that interpretation. So the planning board is not the one that determines the interpretations, the zoning officer and the zoning board does. That's just the first thing. Second thing is that when it comes down to a use that may be undefined in ordinance, if you have like a house of worship under the municipal land use law, house of worship, church, synagogue, mosque, they're all identified the same way as a prayer group, right? And there's different varying levels to identify those type of structures. You can go to like some townships identify it via actual federal classification. Some townships do it via definition by ordinance. I think there actually may be a formal statutory definition to it. There's something called a class group in the architectural guidelines. There's like 4 or 5 different ways that you can actually get to the root definition of a structure, but under the municipal land use law, they kind of all just lump together under a house of worship standard.
But it does
So-
have to be defined. Doesn't it have
No,
to be
no,
defined in any
that's-
way? So intensive use doesn't matter. Because a house of worship for me, I would believe it could be a prayer group once a week. A synagogue is a high-intensity use, which causes more harm and more impact onto a neighborhood. So that needs to be defined. Wouldn't you agree? So this application is very vague. It's falling under the window of house of worship when it's actually a commercial use and a
No.
higher intensity, which causes more impact.
That's not how it
How is
works.
that not possible? I mean, why do we have definitions? You need to refer to, so I've always been told, and we've talked about this before, Ms. Campbell and I, that you have to have equality in the law, right? So you have to vote on fact, not on your own interpretation. So if you're sitting here saying a house of worship or a synagogue is one way or another, it is the intensity of use matters. In this case, this is in the interior of a residential neighborhood. This is precedented.
So
First
you're-
one ever
you're-
because of
you're
these
merging different concepts.
unconstitutional ordinances that were created. Right.
Well, we can't get.
Well, we talked about
So
ordinances,
one
so
thing,
still in the same
well,
combo.
let's chop that up.
Okay.
Let's chop that up. So you're mixing the use with
Mm-hmm.
intensity, and those are 2 very, very different concepts, and they're
Right.
determined by different functions of the ordinance. I'll
Right.
let my professionals kind of get into that a little bit
No,
more.
I know they're different,
Right,
but that
but-
should also be,
but
the
what
impact
happened,
should
you
be
have-
considered here.
Right, but what you have a use and you have the density.
Right.
And those are 2 very different things, right? So on top of the fact that when it comes down to the ordinance itself,
Right.
this is not the place to challenge the ordinance. You have to do that at the council level. So you can't,
Oh, no, I'm not going to sit here and challenge the ordinance. I'm just making clear for everyone on the record that this is an outcome from unconstitutional ordinances that were created from the settlement. And we're here on the basis of that. That is why we're here. So this would never have been allowed.
Is this a cross-examination?
No, it's not
of the
cross-examination.
testimony,
I'm asking
please?
about the interpretation. So there's a difference in intensity of use. You're saying it doesn't matter. I believe there's impact. I believe you're responsible protecting the sanctity of a residential neighborhood, and
Right.
those impacts
but
matter.
you're merging different concepts that have different
Right.
buckets.
So it's basically
Right.
was done to bypass the zoning board who has the power to do that. But,
No.
so you can use impact as a deciding factor to deny this?
You're using different verbiage in different ways to lump different concepts together that can't be lumped together.
Okay, so let's move on. So
Right.
you're saying not having it defined in our municipal law doesn't matter?
No,
It matters before the township council, not before
But you're
this
voting
board.
on an application that's
We-
under a house of worship. How are you, I want to know what it means then. What does it mean?
Under the ordinances, it's a house of worship.
Which mean, no, but what does it mean? It's not defined in the ordinances. It's not our
It's
municipal law.
It's a place of worship, right? So
No, it's not.
it would be no
Okay,
different than.
so saying a house of worship means a synagogue, church, or a mosque. That is a definition. Those are just examples. So if you said a store means a ShopRite, a Wawa, or 7-Eleven. Those are names, not definitions.
Ms.
No,
Hope, is
but
this a
again,
question
you're
for an
merging-
applicant?
I just was
Different-
curious how he applied
Your
for it.
curiosity can be explored at the next session.
Okay.
This is to ask
Oh, I have more
questions
for the
of
next section.
So why don't you do this, Ms. Hope, just
Okay.
so we're not kind of going all over the place, because you had about 7 different conversations that each one of them could have gone 4 or 5 minutes long, right?
Okay.
So why don't you do this? If you have a question as to the use, direct it at one of the professionals so
Mm-hmm. Okay.
that they can adequately explain it
Oh,
to
I
you.
would love
If you have a
that.
question as to density,
Right.
direct
Intensity
it at
of
one of
use.
the,
Right.
well, intensity.
Yeah, density, same thing.
You know,
Yeah.
same difference. So just chunk it up
Mm-hmm.
and just ask just specific questions as to each one, so that you don't get kind of merged into the same thing.
Okay. So, since this is a residential zone, isn't this application basically a commercial use?
No, it's a house of worship, which is a permitted use in the zone.
I understand it's a permitted use, but the intensity does matter. So it's a commercial use in a residential zone.
No.
How do you figure that? It's
just
going
answered you.
7 days. So who decides? I don't understand. Okay. It's a commercial use, period. Because a house of worship could be once a week. It could be a couple of hours a day. This is 7 days a week, 6:30 a.m. to 11 o'clock at night. You're going to have a mikvah. You're going to have traffic everywhere. So when that, okay, move on from that. So when the traffic exceeds the parking lot and they start parking all over the streets, do they get violations for that?
If they're parking in areas that are designated as no parking, then yes,
And who's going to enforce that?
the police would.
And when the police don't?
I can't help you if the police don't enforce the law.
So it would be zoning, code enforcement, or traffic safety?
Right.
Yep.
But we do have a pattern that when we get an approval here, and the site plan is approved, pretty much out of the list of the 7 that were approved from the day that this ordinance was created, changing the R9, well, targeting the R9 and the R15 zones to permit a residential, house of worship on a residential street, I'd say 5 of them are still operating outside their site plan approval.
Ms. Hope, is
So
this
let's
a
just wonder how it's
question-
gonna work
Is this
here.
a question for one of the 3?
I guess I'm just trying to get it out there.
Getting it
Yeah.
out there at the appropriate time would be appreciated.
So when it goes to that, just to be clear, what happens is that this board doesn't have violation pads where we can go out and...
You can revoke you can
No,
pull it
you-
back, because they obviously would be.
No,
Okay,
no,
go on.
no,
We can
this-
agree to disagree, but that's
Right.
insane
Well, it's
that you
not
wouldn't.
about agreeing to disagreeing, it's actually understanding the process that's legally in place to actually prevent these things from happening, right? So it's not about opinion, it's about process. Right?
Okay.
Process is that if they don't have a zoning permit,
Mm-hmm.
they can't operate for that type of use, right? If they don't have a CO, they can't operate for that type of use. All right, if they're parking illegally and there's an ordinance in place that says they can't park that way, or they don't have the RSIS approvals or anything of that nature, and they don't have the zoning permit to operate that type of use, they can't operate, right? So it goes to a zoning body, a zoning department, a code enforcement department, traffic safety department that goes out there and formally, cites people, it gives them violations, gives them stop work orders, anything like that. If they're operating in a way that they don't have the proper approvals for, I mean, that's in a normal everyday world, that's what's supposed to happen. That's the whole point of having a zoning department and a code enforcement department. If a electrical inspector goes to somebody's house and they put in electrical work all over the place, and they don't have any electrical permits, I mean, they get fined. And then quite frankly, there's probably a stop work order where they have to yank the stuff out and then reapply for the electrical permit. It's no different for a zoning permit, So I'm just saying, we don't have the ability of going to a site
Right, but
and
if you
saying,
gave a
hey, we
site plan,
approved the
can I give
resolution,
an
but you
example?
don't have
If
the
you gave a
zoning
site
permit.
plan approval for 780 Heiston Road, and they're not supposed to do overflow parking on the road, and they still are.
I understand, but we
No,
can't
but
talk...
it's an example.
We
So, I
can't
mean,
talk
this is
about
where-
other applications.
Fine.
But what I'm saying to you is that if that
But
is
they perjured
happening...
themselves while getting their site plan approval, therefore they are not following, you should be able to
If
pull it
that-
back,
n-
or they should have to
that's
come before
not-
the board
that's-
again and ask for more parking.
No, but listen to me. So where you're getting confused
I'm
is
not
that...
confused.
You are confused, because
Okay.
you think that the adoption of the resolution
Mm-hmm.
is a triggering mechanism for them to actually for them to be able to conduct a use. That's not how it works. You can't conduct a use without a zoning permit, right? So
Okay.
so just because you have a resolution doesn't mean that you actually can go and just if you're going to open up a shopping mall, okay?
Right.
And you go and get an actual resolution from a planning board to put in a shopping mall.
Right.
You can't just put a shopping mall in the next day and then just open it up to the public. You have to get a zoning permit, you have to get COs, right? Then you have to get a formal sign-off for the township engineer, you have to get county approval. There's X number of things that have to happen. So you're confusing the fact that, once the approval of the resolution is adopted, all of a sudden magically they can start operating. That's not how it works.
No, I'm talking about a house that is operating. It's been operating. Right, this house we're speaking about right now, it's been operating since 2018.
I understand, and what I'm trying
We
to...
know the intensity
what I'm
of
trying
use.
to What I'm trying to tell
To say
you
they're not
is
parking
that
and doing what they're
somebody
doing,
from
they're perjuring
code,
themselves.
somebody from code, somebody from zoning...
as many people as possible.
Right.
We would like to
Okay.
hear them ask the appropriate questions at the appropriate time with the appropriate body.
Right.
This body cannot make the changes you are seeking. You are seeking them in the wrong place. These are state, national, federal, local laws that have no bearing on what we can do on this board. Please give other people here an opportunity to ask their appropriate questions at the appropriate time, and then in the second section, you may speak again.
Okay, I did think my questions were appropriate, but thank you.
And I would just request that we keep it to this application, not other ones that have happened in the past.
Madam Chairwoman, may I please ask a question of the applicant's planner, Mr. Haller? Mr. Haller, not in a million billion years did I think I'd ever have to ask this question, but I'm going to ask it so that we can satisfy people in the audience. Can you confirm that you will not be selling soap, cigarettes, candy bars, or insurance products at this place of worship?
I won't, they won't, I won't, and they
It's
won't.
not commercial.
That's right. So this is not a commercial entity in any way, shape, or form, correct?
It's a place of worship.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, please, we're recording this. We need silence from the group. Speak at the appropriate time, in the appropriate place. Thank you, sir, for waiting.
My name's John Pielli. I live on...
Please use the microphone, please.
Yep.
John Pielli,
Hang on one second. Do you swear from the whole truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, please state your name and spell your last for the record.
John Pielli, Pielli, 394 Jackson Mills Road. Been a resident here since 1980. What I'm not hearing, what about a perturbed situation? What about when it snows? We're creating more traffic. I'm not debating what it is.
Do you have any questions for the
Sorry, do you
experts?
have a question?
So, when they conducted the analysis for traffic patterns, perturbed situations, failures, did they consider that and maybe give the group a short discussion of how they did that?
Mr. Kennel.
Like you get 2 feet of snow, what do we do?
Again, our traffic analysis follows the standard protocol, and basically our traffic counts were conducted in April of 2024. As far as infrequent events, as far as snow events, that is a site management issue where they have to clear the snow if necessary and provide the facilities that they have available. But again, traffic studies are not done on inclement weather days or those type of infrequent events.
I mean, when I look at this, I see snow, 1 foot on the ground, a big pile in that parking lot. They're not hauling it away. Nobody, I'm not hearing that. The town should be part of this, in my opinion, too. Why isn't both of those roads changed into a one-way? You got bi-directional traffic there. You're acknowledging you're going to add more cars to choke points, and the town could do. We just did something at Pitney Lane, right? So why can't the town do something from the flanking boundaries of this thing back into the residents to help these people? And that's all I got to say.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, race. All right, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right, please state your name and spell your last for the record.
It's Paul Needham, Needham, 8 Lehigh Boulevard. Okay. So I have a few questions about lighting, landscaping, and the traffic. One is parking on the Shul side. Can you explain again why that's not allowed? It seems like there's going to be plenty of parking on that side of the road. Lehigh is a very wide street. And you're going to put an undue parking on the residential side.
Let him let him answer one question at a time.
Yeah. First of all, that was a recommendation of the Jackson Police Department, which I agree for a number of reasons. One, at the intersection of Adelphi and Lehigh Boulevard, we need to provide site triangle easements. In other words, so when someone comes up on Adelphi, that they have adequate sight lines to look east or west on Lehigh Boulevard. So there is a certain area that would have to be restricted because of providing the appropriate sightlines. And then as far as the Lehigh Boulevard driveway, we need to have proper sightlines for when traffic is exiting the site. So when you take that into consideration of the intersection sightlines and the site driveway, there is no area that could accommodate parked vehicles. Now when you look at Adelphi, that has a horizontal curve. We're on the inside of a horizontal curve. So as a result, someone exiting the site, if there were cars parked between the site driveway and Lehigh Boulevard, would have an obstructed sight line. So because of those reasons and the recommendation of the Jackson Police Department, compliance with proper sight lines, as well as Title 39, which have provisions for no parking adjacent to intersections and driveways, it makes all the sense in the world not to permit parking along the site frontage for this particular site.
Okay, because it's in use now, and the parking doesn't seem to be an issue, but I'll take that. Can you talk about the sight lines?
Sir, could you use the microphone?
Yeah,
It's being
sure.
recorded. Thank
Can you talk about the sight lines exiting on Lehigh Boulevard and entering? So you're familiar with the street, there's a hill there, and it's kind of a blind spot going. My driveway is directly across from that. So pulling out into the street is always a bit of a challenge because I can't see anybody can't see me who's coming over that hill. Have you considered one-way entrances into the parking lots to avoid that situation? Or can you tell me the considerations that were took into consideration for that entrance on Lehigh? I'd rather see it moved closer to Adelphi because it's directly lower than that blind hill.
Well, again, the ideal situation, one, for separation from the intersection, is to locate the driveway as far east as possible, where shown on the site plan. In addition, the approximate location of the driveway is generally the high point of that vertical curve that exists as you're going east of Adelphi. And
So I'm talking about the Lehigh entrance.
Oh, I'm sorry. The Lehigh Boulevard, yes, has that vertical profile. And we're close to the top of that profile that also allows us to have a sight distance in excess of 250 feet, which is required based on the posted speed limit of Lehigh Boulevard. And that location optimizes the sight lines. If you move it closer to Adelphi, then you're further away from the crest of the hill on Lehigh Boulevard. And you're also then getting closer to the Adelphi intersection. Again, the ideal situation is to have as much separation as possible from an intersection of two public streets.
Okay, yeah, it's a dangerous area there, for sure. Can you tell me if there's going to be additional streetlights required by those entrances? Because right now, it's kind of, I've got some concerns about lighting, but streetlights where those entrances are there going to be additional streetlights put on there?
That I'll defer to the site engineer.
There is only site lighting provided within the site, not along the streets.
Okay, so we don't know from the township whether there'll be additional streetlights put up? My concern
I
is
believe
that,
that's JCP&L will,
so that has, from the site, I understand not.
Could I answer that, Campbell?
please.
If residents petition the governing body, we could put in a request to JCP&L.
I don't want a light.
Then
So-
if
so my
residents
concern
don't,
is- my
if
concern is
residents
about
don't
the light.
petition, then we won't make a request.
If they don't, then nobody will plug the light in.
So while I got you about the lighting, you mentioned the buffering between the residential and the shul. And we've said the landscaping is going to take care of that. Can we talk about the height of that landscaping and the type of landscaping? Because it seems, the trees that are pictured there are probably not the right trees you're putting in. But are they going to be evergreen trees?
They're going to be evergreen trees, and there is a township tree forester that reviews it and provides recommendations specifically for site applications, and will be following the recommendations of the licensed tree expert. The buffering, screening along the residential properties are going to be evergreens with height to provide for proper screening.
Do we know that height? So the proper screening, because most of those are two-story, houses, right? And you're a 26-foot building, or I guess that's up for debate as well, 36, 46. So is that also being taken into consideration when we talk about the height of the landscaping and
The typical height is intended for the people on the ground, and the typical height would be more in the 10-foot range, not in the 30-foot range. We could work with the tree forester to see if we can get some taller plantings. There would be more width added to that, but we could see to have taller plantings. It would not probably be 35 feet, but we could work with the tree forester to have taller plantings than presently indicated on the plan.
Okay, so how do we petition for that, or how do we get that on the record, that we'd like taller landscaping to block as much as possible?
Does the applicant stipulate that they'll put in taller plantings?
The applicant would agree to work with the tree forester to put in taller plantings up to 20 feet as determined appropriate by the tree forester.
Okay, and is there anything from the tree forester that will give us an idea of the maturity to those trees, whether they plant, they could plant 3-foot bushes and then in 15 years they'll be 20 feet?
Yeah, there are requirements as to the maturity at the time of the planting.
Okay, so I guess how do we get additional information after this planning session on that landscaping? So how do I follow up with that, just to kind of stay informed?
You can contact Mr. Alfieri's office, and he can give you the name of the forester if need be, and then you can reach out to the forester directly. She's an absolute sweetheart.
Okay.
She's a township
Yeah.
employee.
I'm sorry, what was her name?
I'll give you her name and number.
Okay, thank you.
You could write it down.
Yeah, well,
When you walk away, I'll hand you this. You can write it down, give it back. How's that?
thank you. And then I have another question about the lighting, as far as the interior lighting. Will that be blocked? Will you have shades inside, so that I know that you're going to cut off the lighting at a certain time? I think you said 10:30, because I know I'm directly across from the parking lot, so the concern is with that entrance, I'll still see lighting from the parking lot. But I'm wondering if I'll see lighting from the building as well, or when services at night are conducted, will there be internal shades to kind of block the lighting from escaping the building?
We have to ask the architect that one.
We did request that there be timers on the exterior lighting that would go off by 10:30.
So you heard the question about shading windows?
Yeah, so usually if the services are finished, the lighting shuts off, either a timer or they're manually shut
Inside the building?
inside the building.
Will there ever be services past 10:30? Is that a possibility?
No, we stipulated the hours. They won't go beyond that.
The operation hours, we already stipulated. It will not go beyond 10:30.
Not beyond 10:30?
Correct.
And lighting, so when lighting goes off in the parking lots, I'm assuming we talked about there'll still be safety lighting?
There'll be a safety light, yes.
Will there be
One.
safety lighting around the exterior?
There will be one safety light at the door.
At the door, so nowhere else on the property as far
Shielded.
as the...
We stipulated the timing for the exterior lighting will be for all the lights, except there will be one light on the wall, one wall-mounted light that will remain on for safety purposes.
Yeah, at the building itself.
At the building
There'll
itself.
be nothing, so the way it looks on the picture is a retaining wall around there. There won't be any lighting on the exterior of the retaining wall.
Correct. All lighting will be, or the lighting is only within the parking lot. There is no lighting at all within the grass area near that retaining wall for the stormwater management system to begin with. The lighting is only depicted within the parking area to begin with.
Okay, last question, and then I'm through, is lighting by the entrances. Well, it's two. Lighting signage, I understand won't have lighting, it'll just be signage.
No signage.
Well,
There are no monument signs.
The wall signage are just monuments, they're not lighting,
There are signs on the wall without lighting.
without lighting, okay. And then will there be lighting on the entrances?
Do you mean the entrances, the driveway
The
entrances?
driveway
Well,
entrances.
the entire parking area, including the driveway entrances, will be well-lit. The placement of the actual poles are depicted on the plan.
And those will all go out on timers?
Those are
leaving
going...
the entrance later?
That is what those are the lights that will be going out on timers.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Ma'am?
Good to see you again.
Nice to see
All
you
right,
too.
please raise your hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, please state your name and spell your last for the record.
Deb Jones, Jones. I'm on Hyson Road in Jackson. One of my big questions is, and I don't know who would explain it, but we're here today for the hearing. I'm a little confused at how the numbers don't match up on everybody's plans. I would just really like to know, like, where does that break down? Because unfortunately, I see a lot of things going on, and we've become a town that we ask for forgiveness and not permission. So where does...
Well, ma'am, once the applicant and our professionals will meet and discuss making sure those numbers are what comply to our ordinances. That can't, they don't skip a spot.
But is that after you vote yes?
Well, because what we vote yes based on the resolutions and the knowledge that our professionals will be meeting with the applicant.
So I may be able to just cut this down a little bit. So the only number that was in question tonight was that of the height. And from my understanding, based upon the actual layout of the property, the way that it slopes, there's a, within the ordinance itself determines how you actually start, like where the number is, right? So at the time of completion of everything, what happens is that the township engineer will actually go out to a facility like post-resolution compliance, whole 9 yards, and make sure that the grading, like where they start with, is compliant with the ordinance. So in this situation, what happened is that there may be a little bit discrepancy of where they started, like measuring the height from because of the slope of the property. So what we did here is basically say, okay, if that's the issue, you know, mea culpa, but you are agreeing to the fact that you will not exceed the 35 feet of the ordinance requirement. So they can go up to 35 feet, whatever the ordinance foot is. They can go up to that without asking any permission whatsoever because it's a matter of right. Like anybody can do it. You can build a residential home, and as long as you're not above the ordinance standard, you can just build it however high you want. So this is the same situation. So they stipulated on the record that, you know, even though there is a discrepancy between, I think, where they started the measurement and where they ended up top because of the slope, they will not exceed that. And if they do, they're going to come right back to the board and they're going to have to request a variance, and we're going to have to determine what's going to happen at that point in time. So that will change everything. So, but what they agreed to was that they're agreeing not to build a building any more than what they have a right to. And if they do, they come back before us.
No, I understand that,
Yeah.
but I also am living the dream of, yes, a property was supposed to be a certain way. No, it's not. And I'm reaping the consequences of it. And nobody's been back in to do anything, and nobody's fixing it.
Excuse me, ma'am.
I'm just
You're
saying.
speaking about this application?
Nope, I'm just saying,
We are
I
only
understand.
discussing this
I
application.
I understand, let me finish my statement. Because the people who are now living around this, they're going to be me in a year. So that's why I'm saying, when do we make sure? Because if you vote yes, you vote yes.
Well, what
Under any
happens-
stipulation,
nothing's
I don't
built
care,
yet.
but.
Right. Nothing's built yet. So they have to, you know, go get a zoning permit, then they have to get building permits, and they have to get the township engineer to sign off on it. So, and there's multiple layers that they won't be able to do anything until they get the proper approvals. So unfortunately, we bear the brunt of this because we're the first step of the process, and we have the formal hearings. You know, there's no formal hearing for a zoning permit or a building permit or anything like that. So most people, unless they, you know, do it themselves personally, are really unfamiliar with the process. You know, like you go to get a hot tub, you go to put a pool in your backyard, you become very familiar with the process because you got to do it yourself, you know. But with this, we kind of bear the brunt of the first end of the stick, so to speak, because we're the only ones with a public hearing. So they're going to have to go through multiple layers. They're going to have to go through resolution compliance, then it's a zoning permit, then it's the CO. I'm sorry, then it's the building permits, plumbing, electrical, fire, whole 9 yards, and then they have to get the building CO or TCO that leads to a CO, and then they have to get the township engineer to sign off on it, bonding requirements, whole 9 yards. So there's many steps of the process that normal people don't see because they're not directly involved with it unless they've lived through it themselves with building a home or renovating a home or something like that. So this is what I'm going to leave you with because there's multiple redundancies and checks and balancing systems in here. And as long as zoning and code are doing what they have to do from an enforcement mechanism, then everything should go smoothly.
I appreciate you putting that on the record because I've been to many of the town meetings and it's like chasing your tail because you say go to the council
Right.
says go to planning says go to zoning. I don't have enough time in my life to have to go through all of them. I want someone to just answer it ahead of time. So thank you.
Unless you're doing it yourself, it's very difficult,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, just watching it in your town is difficult.
All right. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right, please state your name and spell your last for the record.
Kelly Canis, K-A-N-I-S, 35 Villanova Drive in Jackson, in the development where this commercial-style looking building is going up.
Ma'am, if you could use the microphone, please.
Sure.
Because it's being recorded.
Sure.
Thank you.
It was mentioned that it was not a school and it won't be rented out. So there's no camp, daycare, things like that that will be run out of there.
No.
And there's no sleeping over, it's not a hotel, it's not a dormitory.
Correct.
Okay.
That's why we have the operations are explained.
Good. I appreciate that because currently it's run, I guess, illegally then as those types of things in the neighborhood. Another question about the dumpster on this commercial-looking property. It only has to be 10 feet from somebody's property line?
Yes.
And the use of 100 families, so 400 to 500 people a week, it will only get picked up 2 times a week?
Well, that's what's proposed, but if it requires, they don't generate a lot of waste, but if it requires more frequent pickups, they're going to have to arrange for, it's all private carriers, so they'd have to arrange for more frequent pickups if necessary.
Okay, and I understand there was a lot of talking about the lighting, but the brightness, the lumens, the wattage will fall under residential requirements?
The parking lot will be lit per the parking ordinance, and the spillage will be prevented via shields.
In a residential? Because I think it's
Correct.
different for commercial residential, so, I mean, some of...
The requirement is a certain minimum required parking.
But how about maximum? That's my concern.
And there, the lighting plan indicates that the maximum at the property line is 0.2, and additionally, there's going to be shields. It's 0.3. Additionally, there's going to be cutoff shields to prevent spillage.
Okay, and currently, there's about 1 acre of land that has permeable, grass, trees, bushes, things like that. So you're paving over, pouring concrete over, and leaving it with the one little basin. How deep is that basin? And that will prevent all of the runoff that's currently...
So there's actually 2 pieces to it. There is the basin, which is a surface basin. It's 2.5 feet deep. There is additionally a subsurface basin, those black. Anthony, could you go to the 2 sheets down?
The lines on the other one?
Yeah. 2 sheets there, 2 sheets, sheet number 4 of this set. The next one, I'm sorry, sheet number 5. So that black Those are pipes, underground perforated pipes. So it's a combination of a surface basin and a subsurface basin.
Okay.
And it is complying with the stormwater management regulations.
Because I know currently Brookwood 3 has had a history of sewage problems and,
During our soil
flooding.
testing, we did discover the water table is not very deep, and
Yeah.
the calculations and the facilities account for that to improve upon what is currently.
so when this goes in, neighbors shouldn't have to worry about their basements being flooded or the sewers
Correct.
backing up
the
or
storage
the smell that comes from the sewers in Brookwood 3 over the years.
Well, this is a storm. This is rain. This is rain
Yeah.
runoff. There shouldn't be any odor from that, but there should be no runoff. And actually, the requirements are to improve upon the current runoff.
All right. All right, thank you for answering my questions.
All right. Please raise your right hand. All right, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, please state your name and spell your last for the record.
Eleanor Hannum, H-A, N as in Nancy, N as in Nancy, U, M as in Mary.
Your address?
7 Evergreen Court. My first question is for the traffic expert. So when you did your traffic count, you did it on a Thursday.
Thursday and a Friday, correct.
Oh, you did do it on a Friday.
Friday morning, correct.
Friday morning. Okay. You did not do it closer to sundown.
As I mentioned, we did it from 3 to 6 on Thursday, April 18th, and that's generally consistent with the higher traffic volumes that in the industry. 3 to 6 is typically the highest weekday traffic period. So that's where we have done our counts, which is consistent with multiple other traffic studies we've done in town.
Right, but this is a very unusual situation. It's not like you're doing a traffic count for a commercial business. This is very specific. So that is my one thing. When it comes to RSIS and when you put together the counts for parking, how is that determined?
Well, it's not RSIS because that's for residential. So the township ordinance has a parking requirement for this type of use. And Mr. Kennel could give you the details.
Correct. The ordinance stipulates that you need 1.25 parking spaces per 100 square feet of the sanctuary. So we have, the sanctuary is 2,977 square feet, and that works out to 38 parking spaces. There's also another parking standard for assembly area at 0.75 spaces per 100 square feet. And there is 1,995 square feet for the assembly area, which then, based on the ordinance, so again, it's in it, and I need to qualify that, it's for any assembly area in excess of 800 square feet. So therefore, we need 15 parking spaces. So in total, 53 parking spaces are required by ordinance.
And then you did the 4 EV spaces because an EV space under New Jersey law now.
Counts
Each
twice.
Each EV space equates to 2 parking spots.
Correct.
Right. So can anyone use these EV parking spots or?
Yes.
So like I can drive in there and put my Tesla, hook it up?
Oh, you mean
That was my question. Can
not
anybody use that?
not a congregant of the synagogue is what you're asking?
No, yes, maybe just anyone in the neighborhood.
I doubt that they were for public use.
Yeah, they're only
Okay.
for the congregants.
Okay. That's all my questions for you. Thank you. The architect. Oh, just for reference, the 50 parking spots, on an average day, on a Saturday, May 31st, I counted lining the streets of Lehigh and Adelphi, 45 cars. Oh.
I was there several times last week, I also counted 35 cars.
Yeah. Well, mine on this day was 45.
But however,
But-
however, I do not know if those cars were people using the facility or people who live in the neighborhood.
Well, when you live in a neighborhood such as when there's use like that, because we're dealing with other neighborhood issues in other developments, you do know because of the way they're lined up and parked. So it's very,
I was there this afternoon, and I saw a large number of cars parked by homes that there were no services going on at all.
No, that's good.
So people are using
okay,
their
I just
streets
would
to
like
park.
to get through my testimony, not so that you can discount what I'm saying. I
You were the
appreciate
one that brought it up, ma'am.
I wasn't questioning you, I was
Showing me
questioning
pictures.
him. So,
Showing pictures.
As far as the architecture, you have a warming room. So then this means that there's going to be food deliveries.
Correct.
Okay, and the food deliveries will be, how often?
It's only when there's some kind of event going on there.
An event that can hold how many people?
Well, IBC number would be 133 people.
Okay, so 133 people, but we only have 50 parking spots. That makes sense. Because the people within the neighborhood are not the ones who are driving and parking. They are walking. These people are coming from out of town. So, just saying. And you also testified that when it comes to the garbage pickup, that's only going to be 1 day a week, but there's going to be food.
We said 2 days a week and more if necessary.
Okay, because right now there's a problem in Hartfield and Edgewood, and it's growing, that there's a problem with rats, and it's because of garbage. And now we have a food use issue in the middle of a
Ms.
development.
Hunt, we can't bring other,
Okay, I'm just
Yeah.
making
Yes.
note
We
because we're
we
going to
gotta-
have a dumpster that's sitting there
I
with
understand.
food
right, but we
and
got to keep it.
100 people eating. So the food waste goes somewhere.
Right.
So that will be a concern for the people who live in this neighborhood.
Okay,
So
why
I'm
don't
just
why don't we do,
pointing out
why don't we
that
do this,
fact.
and can the applicant, can the applicant stipulate that if they have an event, they will arrange for garbage pickup either that day or the following morning? There's some kind of time, minimize the time gap in between, because that's a valid point.
We're finding out.
Yep.
Yes. So if there's an event that has food service, they will have the garbage picked up within 24 hours, by the next day.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll make
So-
that a stipulation of,
Okay, so this house of worship has an assembly added to it, which increases the intensity of use. And the question is, with the overflow, if there is 100 people there, where are they parking?
Again, most of these events are going to be on Saturday. There's no driving. It's a community, multi-purpose room for the community. There will be some outside people on, let's say, a brisk.
So then they'll come and they're all going to park along the road.
Well, they'll
And
have,
inconvenience all the neighbors who live there.
All we could do is provide the parking that's required by the ordinance. Is there an event that might generate more parking? I guess that's possible with any use, but we're doing what the ordinance requires.
Okay, but again, this is a residential neighborhood, and this impedes on the peaceful enjoyment of the residents who are paying property taxes and have a vested interest in their home in this neighborhood. When it comes to the basement, where is the exits?
we have an exit over there, and we have a ramp over there, and then there's internal access from the stairwell. So there's that. That's how you get in from stairs. stairs upstairs and over there.
So there's,
There's two or three means of egress from the
so
outside.
to get outside, there's two ways without that elevator.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, I think that's it for you. The other one is the planner.
Can I just get to the garbage? If the event is on a Saturday, we may not be able to have pickup on Sunday, so it would have to be Monday. I don't know if the carrier would come on a
Well,
Sunday.
if the carrier doesn't operate on
Right,
a
then
Sunday.
it'll be the next day.
Yeah.
Okay. You want
The
back the
next-
engineer
next
back?
pickup day.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Engineer back?
Yes. So I was looking, this civil exhibit. So the maximum impervious coverage by code is 70%. Can you go to,
You want the cover sheet?
yes, please.
Anthony, could you please pull up the civil exhibit, page number 3?
And can you go down to the next page? Next page, the colorful one with the retention basin.
The landscape rendering you're looking for?
Oh, I guess that's the one.
Could you go to page 2 of this set, please? Is this the plan you're looking for?
Yes. Okay, so I'm looking at this, and you have in your, your key on the side, when it comes to the impervious coverage, you're only accommodating 65.26%. Does that look like 62%, Mr. Peters?
It's 65.
Of impervious coverage?
It has to be 65 because that's what our plans say. So if the engineers for the town determine it's incorrect, then we'd have to come back with a different plan, correct?
Correct. Typically, the buffering, there's 10-foot buffering along the sides, and then there's areas in the front greater than, there's 15 feet. So typically on these properties, because of the buffering itself, it always is going to be less than 70%. But we will be providing the calculations. This is not close to, it's as indicated, 65.
Your rendering is a little off. I think I can figure out 65% or 70% of an acre, and that looks like it's exceeding 70% coverage.
And we cannot exceed that.
Yeah, so what's going to happen, Mrs. Hannum, if...
No, I'm looking at it all over town, so,
Wait,
and nobody's doing anything about that.
Yeah,
When it
Miss,
comes-
hang on a sec. So what's going to happen, just to address that point? So let's say the plans are wrong and they're at 70 or 75 or something like that. What's going to happen is that our engineer is going to see that during resolution compliance, right? And that's going to trigger them to come back to the board for variance. So that's like automatic variance, right? So if they're beyond that, they have to come back. Additionally, what happens is that the township engineer also does an inspection of it before releasing the bonding requirements or anything like that. If he thinks that somebody messed up along the chains, it will also come back even post-zoning permit. So that there's kind of different layers in there that take a look at it. Not saying that, maybe there are situations which I haven't heard about which have gotten beyond that point, but, there are multiple layers of redundancy that take a look at it. And they're good people,
It's all over town. So I'm looking at the retention basin. Is there going to be a fence around that?
There will be
There will be a fence. How high will this fence be?
a 4-foot-high chain link fence.
Okay, so that's on a corner, frontage on both sides. Do they need a variance for that?
No. They're in the setback.
Setback.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, when it comes to the drainage, so I know the property, I know it's on a hill. I looked at your design plan for your drainage underneath the parking lot over there that will infiltrate into your stormwater basin. But here's the issue that I'm seeing. That is up on, the grade is high. Where is all that water you have?
Into the sewer system.
5 days of heavy rain, and we've all seen it. Where is all the water on the right side of that parking lot going? And can the our stormwater drains even handle that?
The applicant is meeting the requirement of the stormwater management rules, and there currently is a certain amount of runoff from the site. The rules require that the runoff be actually decreased. So the stormwater facilities that are provided on the plan are constructed in a way that there will be less runoff than is currently that will be going into the township storm sewer system.
I don't know how you can do that with the slope on the right side of the entryway.
The plan depicts catch basins to capture the runoff and send it to a surface basin and subsurface.
At the bottom
basin.
of the entrance?
There is a trench drain located on, if you go to the, Anthony, could you go to the fifth sheet, I believe? There is a trench, there are catch basins, and then
That
there's
I've seen.
an additional trench drain to capture runoff, and the plan and the rules allow for a certain amount of runoff less than the existing runoff. So again, it's complying with the requirements, which is to decrease the runoff. It's making an improvement.
It severely exceeds what a regular, normal neighborhood home would have as far as runoff. When it comes to the environmental reports, did the Environmental Commission review this project?
The project has been submitted to the Environmental Commission, and there have been no comments.
Okay, so how are we moving forward if the Environmental Commission has not reviewed
Good question.
this?
So what happens with the Environmental Commission, it's considered like any outside agency approval. So what happens is that you don't need, I've had this conversation actually with a couple of board members. So a lot of people are under the impression that you need to get all the outside agency approvals approved prior to being able to come to the board, when in reverse, the reality is actually the opposite. So what happens is that I put in my resolution that they have to get all the approvals from the outside agencies prior to getting a zoning permit. So Mr. Klee won't sign off on anything unless they have all the appropriate approvals. So what will happen is that during resolution compliance, the Environmental Commission and the DEP, actually, both of them simultaneously, they use the same computer systems. They both have to sign off on it. And they won't even qualify for a zoning permit to operate the use until they get those approvals.
How has this been going on all this time when we haven't had an Environmental Commission for Jackson meeting for the past 2.5 years?
There's one meeting tomorrow night.
There's apparently one tomorrow night.
Well, but how are we
I know.
moving forward with this? Because this is part of state statute that they're supposed to be doing this.
Right.
So how are we approving when there are none? So therefore, we have a board that's not compliant,
Well, it's not.
and we're approving an application.
Slow up. So what happens is that there's a state statute that we have to hear an application within 45 days of the application being submitted, which is why all of the outside agency approvals happen during resolution compliance. Now, once it goes to resolution compliance, Mr. Klee takes care of it, right? And he goes through everything systematically. And there's a lot that are in the pipeline right now. I mean, maybe it's from the fact that the Environmental Commission hasn't met in a while. I'm not sure myself, right? But once it goes past the board, that ends our involvement in it, so to speak. And I kind of keep tabs on different, the DEP approval, CAFR approval, Pinelands approval, things like that.
For that, I'm concerned more for what is happening in this town and the Jackson Environmental Commission.
Right. But what you're doing is that you're bringing a different jurisdiction into the planning board that we have no control over.
But we always have someone from the Environmental Commission
Correct, but
on the
the
planning board because it is their job
Well,
to
that's also not true.
be
What happens
part
with
of
that?
that.
What happens with that
And
is that
compliance.
there's a state statute that says you're allowed to have an environmental commissioner
Mm-hmm.
on the board, right? Because ordinarily what happens is you can't like be on 3 or 4 different agencies simultaneously and also be in the planning board, right? Because some of them conflict. So the state statute that you're referring to allows somebody to be in the Environmental Commission and also sit in the planning board because some of their roles overlap, right? It's not
but right
required,
now-
but it overlaps.
But right now, Jackson's out of compliance for not having or holding environmental
But that's
commission
beyond,
meetings.
nobody here has any involvement in that. That's the thing.
Right, but it is
Right.
their job, their part
Well,
of
it's a zoning officer's job when he's looking at the zoning permit to make sure that everything is signed off on.
Well, the zoning officer, that's a whole nother
Well, that's-
conversation
I'm
that
just
you
saying.
really don't
I
want
don't-
me
I
to
don't wanna-
open up
I don't wanna
that can of
pass the
worms.
buck. I'm just saying
So
that,
I'll just
you know.
move on. But
Right.
I am putting it on the record
Right.
that the Environmental Commission has not reviewed this application.
Right.
And they have not reviewed the fact that there is potentially noise pollution, light pollution, whether or not there's going to be adequate water supply, and the sewage capacity
Okay, I'm
for
just gonna-
such a, I mean,
Right,
look,
so- but-
this
but
was
let's-
built in 1962,
Right.
and I've been in this town
But
since
what's-
1962.
But just to be clear, what's going to happen is that in a normal reality, right, you have to get every outside agency approval, including the environmental agency and the DEP, which overlap, right? So they kind of look at a lot of the same things, if not all of the same things. And so you really have multiple redundancies when it comes down to DEP approval, because you have the local and then you have the state, right, through the DEP. But what I'm saying to you is that in order for anybody to get a zoning permit, all that stuff's got to be taken care of, and that's like a year and a half away from what happens at this board.
But right now, I can read off 3 properties right now
We're only
that
supposed to talk
are
about
actually
this one,
illegally
so please
operating
don't.
with that, not
Right.
improving their site plan. And I'm sorry,
Right.
because I'm looking at yet one more application
I know.
that they're going to wait 10 years until they raise enough
Ms.
money
Hannum,
to actually build it,
I
because that's what's
get it.
happening.
I get it, but what happens is that's why we have a zoning officer, and that's why we have
That's
code.
not doing his job.
We have
And I'll
code
put that
enforcement.
on the
Right,
record.
so,
All right, so I have, I guess, Mr. Alfieri. Currently, who is the owner of this property?
I have no idea. Nor would I. I mean, whoever signed the application, who's...
Okay, who signed the application?
Let's see. The owner looks like 9 Lehigh LLC.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I will let you know. This is owned by a Mr. Shmuel Geffner, who lives at 2 Dartmouth. This is a rental property. It is on the landlord registration as a rental property. But when you look on the civil documents to the right, it states that the owner is 10 Bear Trail, who is Yoel and Peril Tesser.
right.
But the applicant is Congregation Brookwood, Inc., and that is 36 Villanova Drive.
Ms. Hannum, we
Hold-
can't,
Let me finish, and I will be done.
but we
And
can't get into
36
title issues.
36 Villanova Drive is also a rental, and that is owned by Isaac and Melinda Mann, who lives at 1729 52nd Street in Brooklyn.
All right, just to be clear, right, so the planning board, and this is case law, this is not just me spouting this, right?
Mhm.
Planning board does not have jurisdictional right to interfere in any title issues that anybody brings up, right? So that's what the court of equity is in Superior Court, Chancery Court. That would be the proper place to file anything if you think anything is.
So I am putting it on the record for the residents who live in Brookwood 3,
Right.
so that they know who their neighbor is and who owns it, who's applying for it, who's the moneymaker and the backing. The people in that neighborhood
All we
deserve
can-
to know.
I understand that. All we can do is go by who signed the application and the fact that they're testifying that they have either a contract purchaser interest or they own the title to the property. That's it.
Okay.
Right, so at the planning board, I'm just letting you know, at the planning board level, that's how it operates.
All right.
And that's
but
case law, that's not me.
I'm just saying, when it comes to the Environmental Commission, I don't know how you can possibly even vote on this right
They
now.
they have a year and a half to get the approval. That's just how it works.
Campaign trail has opened.
I forgot to ask one question earlier.
Okay.
To whom?
I'm not sure. It has to do with parking.
All right, we already have her sworn in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know it was stated earlier that this will just be a house of worship, no dormitory, no hotel, no camp, nothing like that. So no overnight parking will be allowed in the parking lot, in the dark parking lot?
I don't, there may be parking in the parking lot overnight, but the facility can't be used for those hours. I'm not sure if someone came in from out of town and they leave their car in the parking lot, we're not going to stop them.
So the township will allow overnight parking in the parking lot of a commercial-type building in
not
a
a
residential
commercial
area?
building, ma'am.
I know it's not a commercial building, a commercial-type, commercial-looking.
It is a house of worship.
Right. So it's private property. I mean, it's residentially zoned.
So there will be overnight parking, most likely.
Not necessarily.
in
I
the-
mean,
It's private property. The owner of the property can determine whether someone may be or may not park overnight.
Okay,
It's private property, just like your driveway.
right, okay. But only this one has
we could-
53 spaces.
I mean, if you want, we could stipulate that the only time there'll be overnight parking would be on the Sabbath. So if someone came in Friday night and they parked there, they can't take the car out till Saturday night or Sunday. Otherwise, we don't need overnight parking. And that would just be an isolated case. It's not a regular event, but it can happen.
Well, it would be regular, like weekly event. But that's what I'm saying, if nobody's sleeping on the property, then why the need for the
They
53
may-
can't drive.
cars
They
in
may
the
be
parking
driving
spot?
in on a Friday,
Or how-
driving in on a Friday, maybe walking to a friend's house or a relative's house. They may need overnight parking. They can't drive on the Sabbath.
All right, so we'll have,
That's not saying we will have anything.
right, but we
Yeah.
might have, the neighbors will
Just like
have the
somebody
53
might park in your
overnight parking.
driveway overnight.
Right.
It's your private property. They have a right, you have a right to control that.
Right, but in a
The owner
residential
has a
area,
right to
I don't
control.
have room for 53 cars on my private property, but they
It's
do.
the
So that's
same-
53 cars potentially parking overnight.
No, ma'am,
Yes, Ms. Campbell, it is.
no.
Thank you for answering the question.
Oh, here she is. Come on.
Sorry, that was,
Do this.
I have one question. Can we, Eleanor Hannum, can we make a stipulation that they cannot park and leave school buses or buses and ambulances here? Because that's what we're seeing at other locations. Can we make a stipulation? No
Yes.
parking of buses, no
Yes.
parking of ambulances.
That's fine, except temporarily if there's a.
Temporarily, how long is temporary?
I don't know how, if
Not
an ambulance
overnight.
has to stay.
Why would the school bus have to be
No, I'm
there?
talking about the ambulance more likely.
Okay, but why would the, what, to come and go?
Yeah. but-
Parking there, no, not what I'm seeing.
So no parking of ambulances and buses we've agreed to.
But can we use the term long-term? No long-term.
How
Well,
about
what
in
is
the- how about in
long-term?
the event of an emergency, right? So in the absence of an emergency, there's no overnight. I mean, if some,
Right.
God forbid, something happens, and
Right.
somebody's, you know.
Long-term is
Right.
just like the ordinances that were passed. Just stating a long-term
They'll only
is-
be
can
temporary,
subjective.
temporary. It's not good, there's not even long-term, it'll be a temporary parking. If a bus came and dropped people off, I don't know
That's
why they
fine.
would. It'd just be temporary, we could stipulate to that.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, we need a chair now, don't we? Well, this is like this, Pollock. I know.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right, please state your name and spell your last for the record.
Okay, my name is Paul Riviera, and I live in Jackson. I'm not going to give you my street address for
But
streaming.
you have to because it goes to the weight of your
I'm
testimony.
sorry, what was
I said
that?
You have to because it goes to the weight of your testimony. It goes to the weight of your testimony. So that there's case law on point indicating that if you don't give your address.
I think that's baloney.
It's not baloney, it's case law,
Yeah, it
trust
is.
me.
Because the zoning board attorney told somebody they didn't have to give their street address.
I understand, and I'm very familiar with the case law because I've argued it multiple times in front of both the
So
Superior Court and the Appellate Court.
Can you cite me the law?
Not off the top of my head because you took me off
All
guard.
right, because I think it's baloney. I don't see
I
other
understand you
people
think it's
doing it.
baloney, but you can
Well, I'm
have...
refusing to do it.
You-
What are you
you-
going to tell me? I can't
Okay, then I can direct the
participate?
board to disregard any statements he makes.
Well, we're streaming.
Right.
I don't want to give my home address.
I understand, I'm just
Okay, you
telling you
understand
that...
that. So bottom line, I'm not going to give it to you.
Right, then you can sit down.
Well, let's put it on the record that it's already, the precedent has already been taken that the zoning board says you don't have to do that.
The precedent is case law.
All right,
That
so
is
I
the
guess you're
precedent. I'm not worried
correcting
about what any
everybody.
other attorney has done or hasn't done in the past. I'm
Well,
not worried about that.
I would like you to
I'm
give
worried
me the
about-
law.
I'm worried about being legally compliant.
If you're going to kick me
So
off.
if you want to give
Can
it...
I speak?
If you-
Can
if
I
you-
speak?
No, I'm talking, thank you very much, I'm telling you what the case law is and what the law is. So if you want to give your address, that's fine.
Well, you
If you
can-
don't, that's okay too. But the consequence of that is that your testimony will have no weight and it will be disregarded pursuant to Supreme Court case law, and you can take a seat.
Or can you just cite the law, the municipal land use law?
Well, it's the MLUL, the Municipal Land Use Law. I don't have to cite off the top of my head because you came up here and took me off guard. That's it. I can get it to you afterwards.
If you don't know the law, it's baloney.
Well, you apparently don't either, so please take a seat.
Seeing no one else come forward, I move to close the public portion of the...
It'll be the cross-examination.
Oh, cross-examination. Never mind.
Hi, Val
Hi.
Tudor, Right to Bow Road, Jackson.
All right. Please raise your right hand.
I'm using somebody else's phone that I'm not familiar with.
That's all right, ma'am. Would you raise your right hand to be
Oh,
sworn?
I'm
Let me
sorry.
swear you. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right. And please state your name and spell your last for the record
Okay, Val Tudor, Tudor,
and your address.
Right to Bow Road, Jackson, New Jersey.
Thank you.
Is that good?
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, I'm new to these boards, so I have a quick question for you. I heard that when Eleanor, I believe her name was, challenged the environmental study, and you said you didn't have it. I have another question regarding an environmental study. And if you have your phones and you want to Google it, please feel free to do so. Nowadays, environmental impact studies should include assessment of the potential mental health impacts of a proposed project. Why? Because environmental changes can significantly affect people's mental well-being.
Ma'am, do you
So the
have a
question is this.
cross-examination? Yeah.
Is that being done for all the projects?
Well, I'm going to direct you to who put the package together.
The requirement to provide an environmental impact statement is for floor space proposed over 20,000 square feet. So this application is not required to provide an environmental impact statement, a formal report of what you're describing.
Okay, that's not in here, and it has to be above what?
20,000 square feet.
Per the ordinance, 20,000 square feet.
Okay, so do we have any buildings being built over 20,000 where that's being done?
Not on this property,
Not at
no.
not this property?
No.
But it is being done for other ones, yes?
I don't know.
I mean, not in front of us right now.
We're only discussing what's in front of
No,
us
I
right now.
understand that.
Yeah.
Like I said, I read something, I Googled it up, it said that that's what it said, so I was going to ask about it.
But it's only partial. You're only getting part of the issue. There is something beyond that, and there's a square foot requirement.
Well, I appreciate you tutoring me. I do. I admitted I don't go to these meetings, so I'm probably a little bit lacking in everything I need to know.
Watch us on Zoom. You
Yeah,
might
so thank you. I
enjoy that.
appreciate that. All right.
Thank you, ma'am.
Wait a minute, she's coming.
Okay,
Oh, Drew.
we're going to,
And then I'll be able to get it.
okay, but just no second dips at the apple anymore, all right, guys? We got to,
All right, so hi. When is the construction going to start?
We just need to identify you
Oh,
on
Hope True,
this.
do I have a court? I was here already.
We just need it because it's being recorded, so
No,
we
I know.
need to make sure.
I thought I
Thank
said
you.
it. Didn't I say
Thank
Hope
you.
True?
You did, I heard you.
Yeah, thank you.
Again, there's a
Tough.
process to get all the resolution compliance and outside agency approvals, so it's hard to say, but typically takes 6 to 12 months to get those approvals in place.
Okay, so are we going to allow it to continue to operate at the level of intensity that it is now until the construction starts?
This board has no power to give that right to use it at all.
You got to take it up with the zoning officer.
Okay, just so you can, one of the applications, one of the agendas I did read after here, you guys gave permission to continue
No.
operating into site plan approval. I'm almost positive I have it.
That's not.
Not this
that
board.
It
never
wasn't in your
happens.
agenda?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
We can't do that.
So, let me understand this then. So Jeff Peporo once again has to enforce this, whether decide whether we're going to let it to operate
Let me put it
until
this way.
construction
So
starts?
what happens is that
Okay.
in order to operate a site, you have to have a couple of things. You have to have planning board approval. You have to have a resolution adopted.
Yeah.
You have to be signed off on the full resolution compliance, which, from the board engineer, which usually takes about a year and a half to 2 years, sometimes even longer.
Right.
Once that happens, you then take your resolution compliance, you bring it to the zoning officer, and you seek what's called the zoning permit, which gives you the right to then basically say, okay, I have this use, but I now need to build it, right?
Right.
And then you take the zoning permit, you bring it to the building department, and then you seek building permits to be able to actually build the site.
Right.
But you can't even get to the building department without the zoning permit.
Right.
So when you go to the building department, you have to get, electrical, plumbing, building, whole 9 yards, right? After that, you then actually have to get multiple layers after that because you only get the CO after your building permits are totally taken care of. So it goes zoning permit, building permits and all those construction permits, then you get the CO. And then from the CO, you have to get, you go to the township engineer to make sure everything is totally compliant, and you get all your escrows back and bonding back and stuff like that.
So it's a long process.
So
I
it's
get it.
legitimately
It's
a 3 to 4 year
It
process.
takes a long time for this.
Right.
So that's another effect on the quality of life of the residents in that neighborhood. They have already been dealing with it since 2018. It has been a pattern that this has been allowed to continue we bring up the
Well,
other applications.
so-
Not for this
I get
board,
it.
ma'am.
I
Not
get
for
it.
this
But it is
board.
for this
But-
right
but
now.
if you're saying-
I'm just
if you're saying they're
asking if we're gonna
operating
allow-
without-
Is there going to be protections for these people in this neighborhood?
What I'm
or
saying to
not?
you is that if you're saying that they're operating without a zoning permit, then somebody from code enforcement needs to walk down there
Yeah.
tomorrow and put like a cease, cease operation order or something
Yeah,
to that
something.
effect, but that's not in our hands. We have
No, and I know that,
authority
but
to do that.
it's great that we can get it on record, that is out there, that this since 2018, and asking when construction's going to start, it matters. It matters because the operation has been ongoing. The quality of life in that neighborhood has been affected. So I want to know when it's going to start. It's a long process, so
Well,
we don't have a date.
yeah, but
in the interim, we need to address what's happening.
I get the question, but the problem
Yeah.
is that it's so open-ended that you're asking for something that may happen like 4 years from now.
Which is insane. I get
But
it. I
that's
get-
just the process.
I mean,
That's
listen,
New
I know,
Jersey,
146 has been 10 years.
And if you go to Texas,
Right.
you
And
can
they
walk into the
exceeded their
building
use
and just get plans rubber stamped, and you can operate like within 6 months,
I know, I have the list
It's
of
a
all
whole
of them
different
here.
world,
All these have been approved, and not one of them have started their site plan, and they're still operating without it.
Then you got to walk it down the code,
We got to do a lot with code. No, zoning.
either one.
Hi.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
All right, please state your name and spell your last for the record.
It's Jocelyn Salais, Salais, and I'm at 17 Adelphi Drive. Now, I've never been to one of these meetings. Obviously, this directly impacts my neighborhood. I have no issues with my neighbors, so I'm just going to state that I have a teenage driver. I'm driving on a Friday night. If you're coming in, it is very difficult to see currently with the amount of cars that are lined on the street, and I'm concerned with the amount of people walking and the cars being there that you can't directly see sometimes. And I have a teenage driver, so of course I'm concerned. With that being said, the exit on Adelphi is on a curve, and I don't live far from that. down from there, but it is a little difficult to see as you're coming up as well. And I'm more concerned about cars coming in and out of that exit, especially if it becomes pitched downhill in the way that the area is now. And then the other exit on Lehigh is kind of like a blind spot because it's at the top of a hill. So what I'm hearing tonight is a lot of, we're compliant with this, we're compliant with that. That's all wonderful in that aspect, but I'm also looking for somebody to be a little neighborly. I'm gonna ask.
Okay.
I'm also looking for someone to be a little neighborly as well, because we are a community and we should all be trying to be neighborly together since you are putting this in a residential neighborhood. Have we thought about moving the exit to the parking lot to possibly Princeton at the edge of the property, where you can actually probably get in and out a little bit better and see more?
Ma'am, Mr. Kennel, who can come forward and use the microphone, has already explained exactly why.
I missed half the meeting because I was
okay.
working, so I'm
Okay,
sorry if I'm
so
asking this again,
Mr. Kennel
but.
will again explain for you why those have to be in the spots they're in now because of sight lines.
Correct, and that's what I'm saying, is that the sight line is still rather dangerous, is what I'm saying. I've been there for 18 years, so I'm glad that you drove through recently, but the sight line is still rather dangerous. So what I'm asking is that on Princeton, have we considered, is it possible to move the exit or the entrance to Princeton Avenue versus Adelphi, because Adelphi's a curve?
We heard you, we heard you. Go ahead,
Thank
Scott.
Again, your request to have access to Princeton Drive would require acquisition of another property to the east of this property. We don't have frontage on Princeton Drive. We only have frontage on Lehigh Boulevard and Adelphi, and as what I testified earlier, we've located those driveways as far from the intersection of Lehigh and Adelphi to optimize sight lines and provide the greatest distance we can from the turning movements taking place at the unsignalized intersection. So from my perspective, I've been doing this almost 40 years. This is the location of the driveways is the best suited for the site as well as the motoring public on Adelphi and Lehigh to account for not only what we call the vertical profile, which is on Lehigh where you have the hill, slight hill. We're closer to the peak of that, the crest of that hill. And then as far as Adelphi, there is the horizontal curve going towards Lehigh. And as we stated earlier, we're going to prohibit parking on the site frontage so you have a clear sight line to the intersection and you don't have parked cars obstructing the view of vehicles trying to enter or exit the site.
Okay, because like I said, well, you're saying you don't have frontage.
We don't have parking along our frontage on.
Right, so if you're acquiring that other lot on Adelphi, you still can't, on Princeton, you still can't use any of that.
Well, we're not, that's not part of this application. This application does not consider the lot that's
That's why
fronting on
I'm
Princeton
asking
Drive.
if somebody would consider, if you're coming into a residential neighborhood, to just be a little neighborly and like work together with the residents so that we don't have to worry about our children. Thanks.
Chris, clap loud.
Please raise your right hand.
Yes, sir.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
As best I can.
Okay, that's good.
Eric Jones, 722 Hyson Road, Jones. I think it's for Eric, perhaps, the site plan. I just said, I'm looking on Google Earth, and we have both of your driveways. Both the neighbors have fences right up to the edge of the sidewalk. What about people walking on the sidewalk and cars coming out and then getting run over? You know what I'm saying? If you look at, you're right up to the property line, but if you look on Google Earth, the people on this side have a 6-foot vinyl fence up to the sidewalk. The other side, they have a chain link fence with arborvitaes.
They may have a variance. I'm not sure
Well, I'm just
what
saying,
the, yeah.
but you have to deal with that when you think about the driveways, people coming in and out. How are you going to see, the hood of your car will be halfway on the sidewalk before you can see. You know what I'm saying? Somebody's walking on the sidewalk, a bicycler or whatever, and they're coming down, and all of a sudden, out from behind the fence comes some kid on a bicycle.
Are you talking about on the other properties?
It's on both driveways. If you look at Google Earth, you look at both driveways.
The applicant has the ability to restrict plantings and anything that would
Yeah,
obstruct.
but I'm talking the neighbors. The neighbors already have established fences and bushes up to the sidewalk. So they must have got variances in the past.
They must have. I mean,
But
I'm
that's
just assuming.
that's something you
know?
guys should think about when
Or
you're
not.
putting your exit here.
Right.
Or your entrance here, because somebody could, on a bike, could
Right, but
run over a
unfortunately, we
stroller,
can't.
whatever, some
Right.
kid chasing after a ball, anything.
Yeah.
We can't
That's
deal
all,
with
I just
anything
wanted to
that's
point that out,
off-site.
that's all. And there's a habit around here to clear cut. I noticed also on Google Earth, there's very nice older trees on this property. It doesn't seem like they're going to be anywhere in the footprint of the building. They're more towards the street. Because I'm assuming they were planted when the house was built. Are you going to keep all that?
The
street
tree
trees?
forester indicated we will be we will be
Yeah,
keeping
because they're beautiful trees out in front, yeah.
some, the tree forester refers
They're
to
gonna-
keeping existing trees
Okay,
that
there
are
you
not
go.
within the footprint.
They're going to walk the site with her and try to
Yeah.
identify trees
All
that
right,
could be
all right.
saved.
If they're going to do that,
I
that'd
don't
be
think so.
fabulous.
Yeah,
The more
there
trees you
are
keep,
certain
older
trees-
growth, everybody's concerned about fences and stuff and trees and 20 feet tall and.
There are certain trees that are indicated to be kept.
And the other question I had was probably just a general question. Probably not for Eric here, but.
We're not in the general
But
question
it has to do,
category.
it has to do with this as far as change of use. Is this the board that does change of
No.
use?
No, sir.
That's all.
Thank
I just
you.
wanted to know if they did change of use
Got it.
already.
Yep,
That's zoning.
'Cause how can you approve or
Zoning.
plan something if you
that
don't
is correct. That would
change
be a
the use?
D1 variance. That is correct. Yeah.
Seeing no one else come forward, I move to close cross-examination of these witnesses.
Second, Bernstein.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye. I'd like to make a motion to open public comment on this application only. Sullivan.
Second, Bernstein.
All in favor?
Aye.
The floor is open.
All right, we're going to do a 5-minute time clock.
Mine is going to be probably 30 seconds.
No, I'm just saying this
We're
in general,
just
just
saying
to,
it as a
because
general.
it's already 9:30, so,
Eleanor Hannum,
there you go.
7 Evergreen Court. I just would like to make a statement, something that I have noticed. If I am not here at a meeting, I am watching at home, and I find it very discerning that we have a chairperson who actually leads and testifies on behalf of the developer or the applicant. That is very concerning.
Ms. Hannum,
Just saying.
I'm
Nope.
just going to,
This is not the first time.
I'm just going to say that,
The
that's,
thumbs up, the wink wink, the nod nod, over the years.
Ms. Campbell does an excellent
I
job.
had-
It's
she
a
might
hard
be,
job. It's
but
not
she's
easy.
very combative and very degrading to some of the people that
It's
come up
not
here
an-
to
It's
speak.
not an easy job.
And I'm sorry you don't talk down to people when they're trying to understand. And it is their home. You don't live there.
Ms.
I live here. Politics. Yes.
Please raise your right hand.
People running for office?
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir. It's
All
public
right.
comment, right?
What's that?
It's public comment?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Address.
Please state your name and spell your last for the record.
Chris Pollock, Jackson, New Jersey.
No. And your address?
My address?
Yeah.
Do I need to tell my address for public
Yes.
comment? Sure, 755 Brewers Bridge Road.
Thank you.
All right. Sorry, no suit today, guys. You got me in my work clothes. But really, who wants a parking lot right next to your residential home? Let's be real. I understand there's stuff you can do, you can't do. But, you know, I'd like to speak for the average Jackson resident. We don't want parking lots in our residential neighborhoods. Imagine working your butt off to own a home and raise a family, and boom, they dump this right next to you. No one cares what it's for. We care about our neighborhood. We care about the safety of our children. We care about the traffic. We care about our quality of life. Jackson leadership doesn't fight for the residents that they're supposed to represent. Government isn't working for us. Not in Washington, Trenton, most certainly not here in Jackson. We're all fed up. We need leadership that's willing to fight for us, and we're going to keep fighting back.
How you doing? Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right. Please state your name, spell your last on the record.
Janet Wyka, W-Y-K-A.
Your
I
address?
live at 3 Yale Court. This will be directly in front of my house. It's just a disgusting monstrosity that's going to be built there. I don't understand how it is not considered a commercial use. It is housing over 300, 400, even 500 people in this building, and that's not a commercial use? This is a residential neighborhood. I bought this house as a single mom for my kids to raise my children. My sister moved in with me with her 2 children, and it is now being destroyed by a commercial property. You guys can call it whatever you want, house of worship. It is in a residential neighborhood. It is not a residential use. It is a commercial use. And it's just, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say.
All right. I just want to reiterate to everybody, this is a residential zone with a residential use. It's a permitted use in the zone. I know we keep on characterizing it in the public as that of commercial, but it's not. It's residential. It's the way that the ordinance is written. It's the way that it is on the books in the municipal land use ordinances for the township, and it's residential.
Okay, so
Right, what
Pope Drew, 2 Iowa Court.
do you swear?
I swear
or
I'm
affirm
swear,
to tell the truth, the
confirm,
whole truth,
all
nothing
of
but the
it.
truth?
Yes.
All right.
Okay. I do want to make it clear for the record, a permitted and conforming use, which is the application. I know a lot of people behind are just trying to learn, and people need to be kind and patient. A permitted and conforming use does not mean you're forced to approve it. I know that's what you're told, but you do not have to. Your obligation under New Jersey law is to look beyond the label. The applicant must meet all neutral zone standards: traffic, safety, parking, buffering, noise, drainage, neighborhood character. If they don't, you can deny. Now, we can admit that this is not in any way looking residential. I mean, does not at all look residential. You're going to have a parking lot. Nowhere in this planet is a parking lot residential, okay? It's just going to change the character of the neighborhood. It's going to increase the character, the quality of life for those who do not benefit from it. And that's not being considered here at all. I feel like when I come up here, like Joe, I don't know why your job is to be neutral. I say commercial, and you think you need to teach us all what commercial. You had to ask them if they're going to sell goods out of their house. How old are you? That's ridiculous.
All right, like,
just don't ever do it to me again and be condescending and try to embarrass me. That was ridiculous.
Ms. Drew,
All right,
please,
he
no
can
attacks.
try to embarrass me
No
on his
attacks on the
time.
board members,
We'll bring it
please.
up on mine.
All done.
Okay, so another thing, you're not to be rubber stamping. And since these ordinances have been passed, the 7 of them that gone before in this board, you literally have rubber stamped. You have washed your hands away from here, this is what you can do, and you literally do not care that they're not doing anything that you're giving them approval for. Nothing. Name and address, I'll tell you. None of them, 780, came before you. Spending our time, our taxes, your time, our time, sitting here detailing the parking lots, the handicap, this, that, and the other thing. They get their application, they walk away, they rip it up and say, boom, gonna do what we want, because that's exactly what's happening. Every single application that's come before this board are still right now, proof, you could drive by, I'll give you the addresses. They're doing exactly what they're doing when they were caught doing it illegally.
We got to keep it to this application. please.
Forced, okay. Where do we have the confidence and the belief that this applicant is going to abide by what you're going to give them approval to do? Where is that? I believe you were the lawyer for one of the other applicants. Sat here and said the same thing. Where is the confidence that we're supposed to have, that we're supposed to neutrally agree? Excuse me?
Can I respond to you?
Yeah, I
I'm a
would love that.
resident also,
Yeah.
and I share your concerns.
Mhm.
I will say one thing, though, is the form of government that the municipalities of New Jersey have does not want 3 people in the back room making decisions.
Right.
So they split up the responsibilities.
Mhm.
And it starts with the council,
Right.
who makes the laws. and then you go to your, in this case, the zoning, who's making the zoning, and what's included in each zone. What is a permitted use,
Right.
okay? And that goes back to the council votes, and you now have a standard. The planning board is here to verify that whatever is in those ordinances are complied with. We can't determine if this is commercial, house of worship, a recreation area. Once zoning says,
Well, this applicant gets to bypass zoning because that's why those ordinances were deliberately created that way. They were deliberately created that way. They're targeted zoning. So the R9 and R15 are the only zones in the entire town
Miss
that have
Anna,
permitted use on a residential
not-
street. He wants to school me on it. I'm just going to help him out. I'm just telling him how it works. And I get it.
Stop,
Zoning
please stop taking it personal. All right?
How
He's-
could you not? This
he's-
is like,
He's just trying to help.
it's exhausting. I
He's
get
just
it.
trying to
Let's all
help, right?
understand.
Right.
And I could be very wrong, and I agree with you.
No, and I appreciate it.
Okay, but zoning accepts the zone,
Hmm?
right? The applicant goes and says, I'm going to apply under zone 9, or ordinance 9, I forgot the right term there.
That's
It's got me
okay.
confused. Okay, but when it gets here,
Mm-hmm.
we can't decide if that's the right zoning. We're only here to verify that the expert's testimony is conducted in a fair way. It's not biased,
Right.
or it's not off base.
Mhm.
We are not an enforcement agency. So when there's a problem afterwards,
Hmm.
it's got to be the police or code enforcement. It can't be us. We can't-
Right, but you do play a role, because it's
we
like
don't.
anything. If you tell, we've been told for years, just so you know also,
Yeah.
that when there's been other people that have come up here and they've asked the lawyers here, and they say, well, what if they now add more people? Oh, well, they have to come before the board and have to get special permission. Isn't that the same thing if they're not abiding by the approval? Doesn't it have to come back here and say, hey, listen, 146 South New Prospect site plan was 20 parking spots. There's 80 cars. No, everyone's passing the buck.
That's
But
code
they
enforcement.
lied to you when they stood up here and swore. They swore it was going to only be 20 parking spots.
talking about a
When there's
different-
80 parking spots.
We're talking about a different application.
No, I understand. No, it's what I'm trying, I get it. I'm just asking. I guess we'll go back to the drawing board. You're supposed to be neutral. You're supposed to be neutral. There's supposed to be equality, neutrality in the laws. If you think this applicant is meeting all of those standards, if you think this is protecting the characteristic of the neighborhood when this building looks like it does and has a parking lot, you're supposed to also remember the residents who don't benefit from it but will be harmed from it. And I just feel like there's a big miss here. And I know the law says it's conforming, it's permitted, but you do and you can look at the other circumstances if you feel that's not being met. And this is the first time that this type of application is going before this board ever. Every town is watching. You have to have a responsibility in protecting everyone that's involved. You can't go home and say that it's right that you know that a parking lot's next door to a family's home. That's not normal. It's not right. I think you should get an interpretation what all these things mean. I think there should be some other level of it being defined. I want to look up in my land use laws and say, oh, I know what a house of worship is. I know what this is. I know the intensity of use for all of these things. And this is not happening. And yes, it does happen at your level. Ordinances need to be made. Loopholes need to be closed.
Right. Ms. Drew, what I'm going to do then, I'm going to direct you to go to zoning, get an interpretation application.
Okay.
Look at it, study, and make a decision as to what you want to do with it. Because that is, you keep on going down the rabbit hole of an interpretation
Yeah, I
request.
mean,
and
obviously-
it is a rabbit hole, trust me. I do it all the time
Okay.
in my private practice, right?
Okay.
But that's, we can't have discussions about interpretations here because it's the wrong board to do it at. Right? We don't have, the planning board doesn't have the jurisdiction to have an interpretation hearing.
Okay.
Right? Only the zoning board does.
All right, I think that was about it. That was it.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
All right, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, please state your name and spell your last for the record.
Anthony Hodges, Hodges. I'm at 4 Delphi Drive, directly across the street from the proposed school. And I just wanted to make a couple observations.
Sir, could you just lift up your microphone a
Okay.
little? It's being recorded. Thank you.
All right, yeah, it just seems to me that, maybe I'm just slow, but this is a nice building that's being proposed. Why not just build it on West County line or somewhere down on Bennett Mill Road? That would solve everybody's problem. Instead of forcing it on the residents of Brookwood 3, which apparently we don't want. We don't have any problem with people worshiping. I'm a retired pastor. I believe in worship. I go down county line, the Jackson Baptist Church down on the Bennett Mill Road. Off to the side, we're not bothering anybody. We worship, have a good time, go home, and we're not imposing on anyone. I don't understand why we have to have this. Now, again, I'm at 4 Delphi, I'm right across the street on Adelphi. I've been there for 35 years. I used to look out my window, and it was beautiful green hills. Now it's all tore up. Grass is all tore up. The kids were even breaking up the sidewalk. I don't know what that was about. Every week that I cut my grass, a day later, garbage all over the yard, from cups and potato chip bags and whatever the kids have. Garbage is on the street. All the time, the garbage is overfilled. They can't even close the top of the garbage cans. Squirrels are jumping in and out of the garbage. And as the lady said, it's just a matter of time before we got rats in our community. I just don't get it. What else do we have to say? And I even heard these guys say something about there's not going to be any overnight people spending the night. Do y'all realize for the last 3 years, they've been spending from Friday night, the beginning of Sabbath, until Sunday morning. Those cars don't move. And a lot of times they're in front of my house. I had to put my garbage can in front of the house to keep them from parking on my grass. I've actually asked them to move their cars. They'll tell me we can't move our cars because it's the Sabbath. I respect that. That's, I follow the Sabbath too. But maybe not as much. But that's the reality of things. I hear all of these promises being made about what they're going to do, and they're not going to park on the side of the residence. They do it. It'll be 50 or 60 cars out there, and a lot of the people, they're running, trying to beat the Sabbath, and they'll park anywhere, jump out the car and run. And we got to look at their cars parked on our property all weekend. That's the reality. I wish that you all would listen to these residents, because they're the ones that's got to live through this stuff. And I probably get the worst of it because I'm right across, smack dab in the center across the street from it. So I'm not really aware of what this committee can do. I sure wish you all would consider, the consequences of what's going on in our neighborhood. We don't have anything against our Jewish brothers and sisters. None of us are anti-Semite. We just want our neighborhood intact. Thank you.
Seeing no one else come forward, I move to close the public portion of the testimony on this application only.
Second, Bernstein.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Alfieri?
Due to the lateness of the hour, I'm going to be very brief. There are a lot of statements made that, about the law that are inaccurate, but I'm not going to get into them in any detail other than to state that the law clearly states that the board only can vote on an application and apply the ordinances that are in place. And we've provided a plan that fully complies with the ordinances, except for the variances we talked about that were really board-driven, like the signage Otherwise, it's fully conforming. The board's compelled to vote yes when it's a fully conforming application. And finally, as it relates to the traffic, again, our obligation is only to demonstrate that the site circulation works and that the driveways operate safely and efficiently, and we've clearly demonstrated that. So for those reasons, and the fact that we've stipulated to address all of the professional comments and the comments from both the fire and police, we'd request that the board vote favorably on the application.
Comments from the board? Comments from our professionals?
Let me just, I want to set the stage with the vote real quick. So we'll take it back to the basics when it comes down to what this board's got to do. So whenever we look at an application, we look at whether there's variance relief, whether there's waiver relief, and whether they've comported with the tenets of the ordinance, right, which is what we call quote-unquote conforming. So in this situation, it's permitted use in the zone. It's residential. There's no variances. There's no waivers, meaning that the legal tests that we ordinarily, have to put on record, whether it be a weighing test or substantial reasoning test, any of those legal tests, we don't have them in front of us tonight. They are fully compliant with every aspect of the ordinance. They're fully conforming. In the municipal land use law, they call this an approval as a matter of right. Now, the board has the ability of rendering any determination they want, but just to reiterate, there are no variances, there are no waivers, and it's fully conforming with every tenant that is in the ordinance itself, which I think there are 13, and I'll leave it up to the board to render a determination.
We'll look for a motion.
I'd like to make an motion to approve this application with the stipulation of having numbers on the building for identification purposes for safety. Let me say something just in general. I think that whatever existing circumstances are there, I would hope that the people that are creating those circumstances would look to have better relations with their neighbors and to be mindful that not everyone practices as they do, and that they should do to the best of their ability to mitigate circumstances that inconvenience their neighbors. And with that, I move to approve.
Look for a second.
Second, Bernstein?
Have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Bernstein?
Yes.
Mr. Heller? Yes. Mr. Rogers?
Understanding the residents' concerns, but obligated to vote according to the law, I vote yes.
Mr. Dreamer?
While this application is conforming, you guys did a very nice job with all the preparations. There's a couple issues with the whole, to me, I may be wrong, but I'm going to vote no. Not that my one vote's really going to make a difference. But I just feel that this is a detriment to the neighborhood. I feel for the people. Could have been a little bit smaller building, but I'm a no, sorry.
Mr. Weingart? Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
Dr. Campbell?
I have a great deal of empathy for the community, for the neighborhood I lived in for many years. But I also understand that I have made a commitment to follow the rules, the ordinances, the laws of the township, the laws of the state. I have taken an oath to uphold those rules, and I will vote yes.
Thank you. That's 5-2 approval. Thank you.
Motion to
accept the
close?
motion.
Motion to close?
Second?
Second, Sullivan.
All. Aye.